Hey, Crawlspacers, what's going on? We are going to review Madam Web. You asked us to do it, so you didn't have to. So we're going to review, and I brought along a few of my friends. My best friend is in the audience tonight. She's two flights up. Mrs. Crawlspace in the house.
Hello. Excited to be here.
Wendy Douglas is in the house. She has not been on the show since we've started doing video. Remember video back in the day? So, welcome. I decided to celebrate Valentine's Day by taking you to a romantic movie called Madam Web. Mm-hmm. This is how I roll.
Well, at least it wasn't Die Hard. We've done that too.
Well, yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, no doubt. So, Wendy, let's introduce you to some of my friends who I talk to monthly. You've met this one before. We have George in the house. What's going on, George?
Hello. It's been a long time, Mrs. Crawlspace.
Yes, we've met in person. So,
and you'll probably see me again at some point soon because I live in Oklahoma now.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I'm only like 3 hours away from y'all, so I'm gonna come visit.
Look at that!
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
Look at that! All right, Wendy, this is a fellow teacher. This is Sarah. What's going on, Sarah?
Hi. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you, Wendy.
Nice to meet you.
And we have Tyler, who is dressed like Madam Web, evidently. Tyler, I'm over here, man. Can you see me?
Look, I can see many possible futures, Brad, but I assure you the best ones will always be ones where you're drinking a nice, refreshing can of Pepsi product.
or not drinking it in Madam Webb's case.
I am drinking a Pepsi product. Mrs. Crawlspace got us a Baja Blast from Taco Bell. And what did you get, Wendy? What'd you get?
Oh, I went to Starbucks.
Oh, never.
Starbies.
Your future is much better than mine. I won't have the giant P land on me. No, I meant that. No, the S landed on me. Well, the P will land on me later of the Pepsi.
Joplin has changed since I was there last time.
Spoiler, Pepsi kills somebody. All right. We also have my friend Christina. Christina, what's up?
Hi, Mrs. Crawlspace.
Hello, Christina.
George, I love your hat.
Thank you. This is of course the hat I wore when I was Italian Kevin Feige, back when I still respected Kevin Feige.
Can I hear a little Italian Kevin Feige?
No, because I really can't stand him anymore.
Okay. It's a Kevin Feige. Okay. And Mrs. Crawlspace, this is my friend Josh. What's going on, Josh?
Hey, it is very nice to meet the Saint Mrs. Crawlspace.
The Saint!
Put up with all of Brad's puns and that. I'm glad you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Put up with all of Brad's.
There you go. All right. Also, we have... I am hearing feedback. Is that...
That's actually me. I'm pulling up the link to the YouTube on my phone so I can send it to my mother. She wanted to watch tonight.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right. And I have one more friend who enjoys soup. This is Neil. What's up, Neil?
You've known that it starts at 7 o'clock for how long?
Yeah, I was here for half an hour. Anyways, I spent $40 in this movie, and I figured I should get something out of it, so I got some soup.
$40.
What kind of soup is it?
Baked potato soup.
So Usher said on 7 o'clock on the dot, Neil. What did he say?
What?
Never mind. Okay, sorry. Thought I'd tie it into the Super Bowl. All right.
That's great. I didn't really care. It was a very boring game. It was a very defensive one. Everything interesting was in overtime.
Yay, football.
Mr. Comics Wendy says Die Hard is the single greatest Christmas movie ever. So.
Well, yes, the original is. I think we went to see like Die Hard 6 on Valentine's Day.
No, if we were Madam Web, we would see Die Hard 6. That would be Die Hard 4.
It was like January 10th when you said, guess what comes out on February 14th. So it was your plan all along. Like that was your
Yeah, I
Right.
took you to see Live Free and Die Hard, and that's the worst one of all.
So real quick, there is a small mutiny in the chat asking how I spent $40 on this movie. So I'll break down the math for you.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
ticket was $15.50 for a 7 p.m. showing, and a regular popcorn, not even a large popcorn, but a regular one with no refills, was $7.50,
Oh,
and a regular soda, like a medium size, like maybe 32 ounces, was like $6.50 as well. So
Can confirm if you're just one person and you're going to see a movie, it's going to cost you at least around $15 for a ticket now, because that's the economy we live in now. And it's going to cost you a combined somewhere around like $17 for food,
I should have gotten the churro bites instead.
just to get like a medium popcorn and a medium soda.
I'm pretty sure the popcorn gave me food poisoning too, so that
And
definitely
wh-
wasn't worth it.
And Wendy, this is my friend JR. He's the smart one. He didn't go.
Well, I'll tell you, a bottle of water at the movie theater is $7.50.
That's true.
see,
Oh, and-
here's the plan. Here's what you do. If you go to the movies often, you buy a membership to the movie theater that
Nah.
you go to.
Mhm.
I pay $20 a month, and I could see this movie as many times as I want. And also, I got this
Oh,
Oh, hold on.
for
Whoa.
There you go.
The popcorn connects us all.
Is
yeah, but look, like that's all it is. That's just Madam Web. I don't know if you could see it, but there's webbing
yes.
on it. But
Oh, nice.
Hang on,
Anyway,
Sarah, did you happen?
$10?
Sarah, did you happen to get the Optimus Prime bucket? Oh, Siri activated.
At Madam Web?
No, back in Transformers. That's what it-
Oh no, I did not. I usually only get the special bucket if it's like a Spider-Man movie or like.
that's fair. Yeah.
Trust
Yeah.
me, you got a special bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
Is that more of just like a bucket of shame that you now own?
Tyler, can you see through that?
Tyler, it is my bucket of shame. Okay, do you see?
By
It's
the
like my
way-
dunce
I
cap.
know, I can't see.
I'm about to ask if you're being a little cheater and peering through the blindfold.
All right. Also, hello, 25 people on the various social media places. We got Facebook,
God.
Crawlspace, YouTube, Discord, X, Twitter, whatever, and also Instagram. We're streaming to. We
Media
have
giant
Sarah's.
Brad Douglas.
We have
X whatever.
X, Y, Z. We got Sarah's mom in the house. What's going on, Sarah's mom?
Hi,
Watching.
Sarah's
Mom.
Bob.
There's mom.
So is this Mrs. Crawlspace's first appearance? It is not.
Well, it's my first appearance. It's
her
not my
appearance,
first
yeah.
audio.
I mean,
uh,
it's- yeah,
But I must have said something dangerous because it's been at least 7 years since I've been invited.
oh,
Hey, honey, we're watching an awful movie. You want to come?
I had about 4 heads up. Remember, when we go to the movies today, it's going to be terrible. And I'm like, wow, buckle up. my friend.
I think the quality of the movie speaks that when I first tried to get the ticket, it was like just me in the theater, and then like eventually like 20 people trickled in, and then when I laughed, they looked at me like I was evil. So
It was a pretty nice sized crowd where I was. It actually was.
Yes. See,
No, sorry.
I saw Aquaman 2 literally just 2 days ago, like near the end of its runtime in theaters. There was about like I want to say 13 people in the theater, and then I saw Madam Web at a 4:00 showing yesterday, and there was less people in there
Oh, wow.
for a movie that just came out.
I'm gonna
Hornacek-
call BS because you wear this thing on your eyes. You didn't see anything.
he's the
Hornets-
biggest Madam Web fan.
Hornacek says, I assume Mrs. Crawlspace refused to come to the podcast after Brad called her a Batman villain.
Did you
So,
ever
George-
hear, did you ever
George,
hear that
can you
story?
tell Mrs. Crawlspace the story? Because I don't think I've ever told her, honestly.
Okay, so one time we used to do a thing where people could ask us questions on the message board, and we would answer them during the podcast. And somebody asked Brad one time. I can't remember what the exact question was. It's been over 10 years. It's been a long time.
What Spider-Man villains would your wives be? Was the question.
Something or something, yeah, something like that.
Something like
And
Yeah,
that.
so,
Josh has binged all 800 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
and so Brad said that you would be the Riddler.
Huh.
Because like you always keep him guessing and he can't figure stuff out. And I said, so because
Isn't that men in general?
It's like,
No,
Riddle me this,
Yep.
Douglas.
no, it is not me in general. All right, but I told Brad, I said, okay, so because you're not the sharpest crayon in the box, that means your wife has to be a Batman villain.
Polka Dot Man?
Oh, that's funny. Oh, you were on the Mad Libs live stream during COVID 2020, huh?
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ, Vinkman, that's really good recall.
And
memory.
Vinkman.
Yeah.
She had so much fun. She remembers it fondly.
I do remember the Mad Libs now. I
Okay.
do. I
Well,
didn't.
Yeah,
We were-
I definitely remember.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason you're here is to talk about Mad
Oh,
Libs.
baby, it's happening.
So it came out this past week. And before we get too far into it, I say we go around the horn and we get grades right off the top of what people thought.
Oh, no.
So Neil, put down your soup bowl. I want to hear your grade. Neil, go ahead.
Okay, so for Tax Write-Off the movie, I give it a very entertaining 1 out of 10.
No, a grade.
That's my grade, 1 out of 10.
A, B, C, D, or an F. That'd be an F, I'm
Fail
gathering.
then.
It'd be a F 1 out of 10.
I think it's an
Yeah,
F. You
Just give it an F.
Wow.
All right, Josh, your grade. We have one
Oh.
F on the board.
F minus.
F
Woo,
minus.
baby!
Wow. Sarah, your grade.
D.
D. Tyler, can you see me? Can you see the grade?
His web connects us
I can
all.
see it, Brad.
I like how he's in the middle too.
It's
Hang on.
it looks like
he's
an
in the
F
chair.
plus.
An F plus.
It looks like he's in the chair, like in the Madam Web throne.
Oh, yeah. Did your ex-wife build the chair so you would live?
The Iron Throne?
Anyway, that's ASM 210 joke. All right,
Yeah, okay.
Christina, your grade.
I'm gonna be a little more generous. I'm gonna give it a C.
What?
C.
What?
Hey, it's her opinion. It's her opinion.
Yes.
It's the wrong opinion.
Who said it's a wrong? You're a wrong opinion. And we have our friend George. George, what's your grade?
I gave it a C plus.
Yeah, yell that at George. He's got a wrong opinion. I dare you.
Wrong opinion.
Quiet.
Well, George knows where I am, so he can orbital strike me. I'm more afraid of him.
How I've never come down there personally to kick your ass, I don't know.
Well,
don't know.
Wendy.
I scrape past it on my charm.
Wendy, what is your grade?
Well, I said B minus in the car, but yeah, C plus probably.
C plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not the worst movie I've been with you too.
So maybe we can average
Oh,
this.
well, wait a minute. But I don't think even Die Hard 5 is the worst movie we've ever been to. I think you
No.
can name it right off. I
Hang
know
on.
what you're thinking of. Go ahead.
Oh, I'd be interested to know what you were thinking, but
Punisher Warzone, I think, is the worst movie.
The what?
Whoa,
Taking you
whoa.
What? Which one?
Punisher Warzone.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I was thinking. I was thinking, and I understand that these might be fighting words, but The Watchmen was.
Oh yeah,
I
this is the Watchmen movie.
I had
No,
no
that has
idea
some-
what was going on.
The
Wendy,
Watchmen
I'm
was
gonna-
too long.
Wendy, I'm
Yes.
gonna
That
push
was
back.
long.
Watchmen had something to say.
Yes.
Yeah. And we didn't want to
wasn't-
hear it,
I
evidently.
wasn't there. I wasn't there
Wasn't
for
it
a
like
message.
3 hours?
Yeah.
And that was before MCU movies were like 5 hours long with intermissions.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
All right, my grade, what I gave in the car was a D.
Mhm.
I give it a D. So, as we do, let's hear some pros. I'll go the opposite way. Wendy, what would your pros be? What did you like about the film? You had the highest. Or no, you didn't.
I
You
mean,
had-
I like Dakota Johnson. I don't think the writing was great. I thought she did okay. I mean, but I don't have a history. I don't know what Madam Web. I had never heard of Madam Web before.
well, that's a
so-
good thing in the fact that you don't have all the 40 years of backstory going through your
Yeah, so
We
I'm
do, or I do.
I'm not annoyed by going against the legend or the wrong costumes or
don't-
anything like that.
I don't even think, gang, there's a legend of Madam Web. It's this very D-list Spider-Man character that I had to research tonight to even bring myself up to memory. I think Tyler,
Blade has
are
Blade
you
has more
dripping
lore.
the drink like you were slugging that without looking? Are you okay?
Good.
Okay, don't get any on you.
I'll be honest. I think Blade has more lore than Madam Web.
I agree. But okay, you like Dakota Johnson, Wendy? Anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of liked the whole ambulance vibe. She had some great. I loved her driving scenes. I thought those were really neat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the downside, I just didn't think the writing was the best, and I'm not sure if it was the writing or the editing because the story didn't seem to go from A to Z all the way. It really
We'll
had
hit
a lot
cons
of
in a minute. We'll hit cons in a minute.
so.
George,
okay.
any pros? What do you like, George?
Well, I expected it to suck.
Yeah.
All right, so I went in there fully expecting it to suck, and when it didn't, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, with that caveat, it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's not even, I don't know that I could actually recommend it to other people. But for me, it wasn't like insulting. It wasn't insultingly bad, and like Mrs. Crawlspace, I thought Dakota Johnson did very good with what she was given. I thought
she was given this evidently the first appearance.
I thought
character.
The only person that bugged me in the cast was the gal playing Maddie, because she was just trying too hard. She was so over the top, and I know you're trying to be teenagers, but damn, and so. She was. I didn't like her performance. It was to the point of being distracting. I was surprised, pleasantly so, that with what's her name? Sydney Sweeney, the girl from the HBO show that Zendaya is on. I was surprised that they actually didn't over sexualize her. I was kind of anticipating that, and I was like, that's how they're probably going to do it, but they didn't. And I was happy that they didn't, Probably she was too. Well, we'll mention cons later, but I don't know. For me, it just it didn't suck, and that was the biggest thing going for it. But it wasn't perfect, and we'll talk about that after.
Can you see the weekend 2 advertisement? Madam Web, the #1 box office hit. George Behrman. I'm surprised it didn't suck.
Yeah, like
Spider-Man Crawlspace right under it.
Someday Sony's just like, oh, we found one. Write it down. Write it down.
We got him.
This was the first time I'd ever seen Dakota Johnson in a movie. This first Dakota Johnson movie I've ever seen, and now I'm curious. I might go back and watch more.
There was some movie she was in. I can't remember. It was something Falcon.
Well, I just wanted to point this out, and this is a weird piece of trivia, is that I believe this came out on Valentine's Day, correct? On February 14th?
Just put that in the chat.
It came out exactly 10 years after 50 Shades of Grey.
Now, see, I want to see that now.
I just think it's funny that, like, that's the film that comes, like, on the 10-year anniversary of 50 Shades. It's like, oh, it's Madam Web.
George, I'm not reviewing 50 Shades of Grey trilogy with you.
Commentary track?
DVD commentary. Oh my God. Christina, pros out of you. What'd you like?
Well, for the few minutes that we actually saw the costumes for all the Spider-Women, I liked those. I thought those were pretty comic accurate. And like George, I don't think this is a dumpster fire of a movie that the critics are thinking it is. Like, it's not great. Let's not kid ourselves. But I still liked it. And then, like George, I thought Dakota Johnson was good in it. I've never seen her in anything else myself. I never watched 50 Shades of Grey or anything like that. So, and then I did like the 3 girls, but yeah, Celeste O'Connor, who plays Maddie Franklin, yeah, she was, I don't want to say the word on here, but a bit over the top. Yeah. So.
Our future Crawlspace predictor, Tyler, I would like to hear what you would like in the future and also pros.
All right.
First of all, what do you see in our future, Tyler? First, give me a little psychic reading.
Oh, I see lots of bad Spider-Man comics, Brad. It's not good.
Well, I saw that one coming. Yeah.
Okay, but I gave this movie an F+, but but that comes from a place of love, Brad. This movie is so bad, it loops right back into being one of the most amazing things I've ever watched. I went with a buddy to see this. I was same guy. I dragged Morbius, and we were laughing like the entire movie. It was hysterical. Just like I can't express how Ezekiel. Whenever Ezekiel talked, he's like, "They took my spider."
Oh, real quick. How deep into spoilers can we get, or is there an expectation?
Oh,
of just no
yeah,
spoilers
but
out the window.
We're 20 minutes in. Oh yeah, we're spoiling.
Yeah.
Turn it
cool.
off.
Okay.
Watch it later. We're spoiling the whole
So,
thing.
like-
I think you spoiled like 2 minutes in. With the Pepsi
I'm just making sure that we're getting like the official go ahead from Brad before we just.
Oh yeah,
talk about
green
the-
light,
Yeah,
go
okay.
baby, go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Woo!
So I've never seen The Room, but to me, this is The Room. It's like
Okay,
This
I've
one of
been
the
to a
best
Let him
bad
finish,
movies
Neil.
I've ever watched in my life. It was so funny. So that's
ahead,
my
Neil.
big pro.
Also, first, Tyler, sorry, I accidentally talked over you. Second of all, as someone who has seen The Room and has been to like a live screening of it, you are correct that this is like in that same ballpark of like so bad it's good.
I'm curious, Tyler, if you say this, what is worse in your opinion, Morbius or this?
I mean, in technical aspects, I would call this a worse movie. In
Really?
like for plot, script, dialogue, but like Morbius is a little better structured, I would say. Like Morbius absolutely not a good movie, has a ton of problems. This just has even worse problems. But it's just
Sorry.
it's so bad that I enjoyed a lot of it. Like
I know you
like,
can't see this, Tyler, but on chat, Sarah's mom just asked if you're being held hostage.
Yeah, he's being held hostage by the anti-venom in his background saying, "I want a Madam Web $1 billion."
This is just how he rolls on the
Oh,
weekend,
boy.
Sarah.
This is Dakota Johnson. It's a Dakota Johnson 50 Shades cosplay.
I'm a Madam Webhead. What can I say?
Oh,
Madam
no.
Webhead.
We don't kink
Oh
shame
my
here.
god.
Now,
We
Tyler,
I didn't
don't.
say I was shaming.
Tyler, the biggest symbiote fan that I know, where does this rank? Is Venom 1 and 2 better than this film?
Oh yes, absolutely. Like they are bad. Like they're bad movies. I've said that, but they're very entertaining because Tom Hardy like hams it up. His relationship with the symbiote's a lot of fun. This doesn't have any of that. Dakota Johnson, like she's trying at times, but then I feel like there's points in the movies you could tell she stopped trying. But anyway, just the fact that I went into this movie with low expectations. I knew it wasn't going to be good, but it was so bad it just like did a reversal and just became amazing. So
Well, Tyler's in love with the film now. Sarah, what is your pros on it?
Yay, girl power. I liked how all their destinies were connected together, especially through the visions that Madam Web was having. It was cool to see like how that came to be. So like at first she had no idea what was going on, and then especially the scene when they're on the train or subway or whatever it was, where she warns the other three that Ezekiel's coming. I really thought that was a really cool scene. I'm curious to see like how their future happens, like because it wasn't exactly clear. It was like, oh, this is the future, and we kind of think we know what happens, but like we don't. I
don't
also
know that we're getting a sequel.
yeah, I don't know either, but they definitely set that up. I agree with Wendy that I love that she was a paramedic. I think the sense of responsibility to help another was well established, in my opinion, is essential for any Spider-Man related hero, like Spider-Woman, Aranya, etc. And there were some funny parts, like with her being awkward. I thought those scenes were always funny. I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but it was. And then but like the scene where she's trying to save them from the train thing and she almost gets arrested. Like that was funny to me. So those are my pros.
Josh, what's your pros? What'd you like?
It was like the last 15 seconds of the movie where she's where she's kind of like more established as kind of more the Madam Web I kind of know from the 90s cartoon. Or she's like, oh, bless you. What? At you. Oh, yeah, thank you. Like that was just like the perfect kind of like annoying future teller Madam Web that I kind of know from the 90s show. I really like that. I feel like if they would have actually gone that route of having her just kind of like that more often, I would have enjoyed it more. But yeah, I did like that aspect. And there was a couple parts with Ezekiel where usually in Spider-Man movies, they show how agile he is and not as well as the much as the strength aspect of how hard Spider-Man can punch. And like he usually pulls his punches in that. And it was kind of cool to see if a villain had Spider-Man's powers, almost exactly the weight kind of behind his like landing on the glass window or launching himself across. There was a couple of times I like that too.
Neil, your pros, what'd you like?
So I have two major ones. The first is that the costume design, that the costumes for like the characters are actually really well put together. Ignoring that Madam Web's costume never actually gets worn in the movie, it was only on an Ocean Spray can in Japan.
That's so true, actually.
The costumes actually look relatively close to their comic counterparts. Like the Julia Carpenter costume is actually pretty close. Aside from the texturing, the Maddie Franklin arms, it's like someone else said, it was a shame that we only get to see it for like 15 seconds across like the entire movie, because it's like these costumes are not that bad. They're actually relatively good for like a Sony feature.
I agree.
And the second thing is that the movie is really funny if you look at it as like, you can tell when every department stopped giving a crap and just started phoning it in.
Like, what's an example?
Like when Ezekiel dies from getting hit by a Pepsi logo. Like that's something that, like, if you were in an editor room, like no one would go like, who thought of that? And then Cassandra goes blind from getting a firework to the face underwater. Like, there's stuff in there that's so stupid you can't help but laugh at it.
How did she lose her legs? How can she not walk?
Lose her legs?
She can't walk.
She got paralyzed. She got like hit by some debris or something.
But she didn't lose her legs. I mean, she still had
she lost
the ability to use her
legs.
She
can't use them.
But like the main thing that was good for me was everything around the movie. Like when the actresses clearly stopped trying to advertise the movie, Dakota Johnson like leaves her agency the minute the trailer comes out. Like I said, the Ocean Spray can being the first look we got at the costume. Like the advertising on this movie was so stupid, it was hilarious. And that was better than the movie itself, just because like you can't make up like a worse marketing schedule.
Pros out of me that's not been mentioned. I don't mind Uncle Ben as a paramedic.
Mm-hmm.
In the comics, well, in the movies, he's established. In the Garfield movies, he's a scientist. He's a SHIELD agent in the. No, that's not.
That's his parents.
That's his parents. But Uncle Ben, I don't really know what his day job is.
I think he's
and I kind of like adding to the mythos that Uncle Ben saves people as a paramedic. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's a horrible addition to the Uncle Ben backstory.
I'll add a caveat to that in that
Okay.
in a self-contained vacuum, yes. When you add it to like the wider Spider-Man mythos of like, oh, Uncle Ben taught Peter that like with great power comes great responsibility, comes from him being a paramedic. I feel like that's a bit too much of like we're setting the dominoes up for a hero origin story, whereas Peter becoming having to learn responsibility by himself and not being able to interpret those words. I think it's a lot more.
Internet Weirdo says Ben Parker's an electrician in the Raimi films. Yeah, he's yeah.
Well, the current canon is that Aunt May told him that.
Yeah,
Aunt
according to Marissa.
Aunt May said it in No Way Home. So apparently, May's the one that tells him that, not Ben.
No, I'm talking about like in the comics, not in the.
Yeah, in the comics, I don't think we really know what he did.
Yeah, this is.
But
another pro that made me laugh in the vein that Tyler thinks everything that's bad is funny. I thought the true hero were vehicles. I thought the ambulance hitting Ezekiel and the taxi cab hitting Ezekiel was absolutely hysterical.
You know that they have no animus of their own, right? That they're they're controlled by people.
The
They're not
vehicles are the hero.
that,
No, the
that do their
vehicles.
own thing.
No, I think it's funnier if we treat him like Thomas the Tank Engine characters who just like operate on their own power. They're supposed to have like a crew and then they just drive themselves.
They just needed one more to do the trifecta of one more vehicle. We had a cab, we had a ambulance. Something else needed to hit the guy.
It should have gone bigger. They should have hit him with a train.
And I
I liked it when the
The-
ambulance came through that parking garage wall.
I was just going to say, like,
Oh,
an
that was
ambulance is really
bad.
going to keep rolling after that. Like, come on.
Mhm.
Anyway,
It's the
go
movie.
for it,
And
Brad.
you say something else should hit that guy. He was hit by a Pepsi sign.
Yeah, but a vehicle.
That's
yeah.
bigger. She's right. It gets
everything's
bigger
gonna
every
hit-
time.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a vehicle would be another vehicle would be good.
I wanted to get hit by a vehicle after this movie.
Oh,
Ambulance, come at me.
All right, let's go around the
I
horn.
had
Oh, go ahead,
another.
George.
I also enjoyed seeing Spider Mom and baby Peter Parker. I think that's
Yeah.
the first time we ever see baby Peter Parker
Oh,
in a movie, because we've seen little kid Peter Parker in the
Yeah.
Garfield films, but we've never seen like infant Peter Parker, like like baby Jesus
So,
version of
this
Peter
is
Parker.
baby Jesus.
No.
So I
Oh,
thought,
you know what?
speaking
I
of
have
the babies, here is a missed opportunity. I said to Wendy driving in the car, and she said it would take people out of the movie, but I want to hear your opinion of it. We're sitting around at the what's that called when you
The
baby
baby
shower.
shower.
The baby shower. Like, guess what the name is? Peter. Come on, it's Peter Parker. Duh. And I'm like, how about we throw out names? Is it Toby? Is it Andrew? Is it Tom?
I think
man.
that would have been too like, oh, look at us, we know our glup thing.
Mhm.
Look at this thing, you know. Aren't you
Anybody
so
else like it,
impressed?
or is it nope? Is that just me? I don't know.
and no, I mean,
It's a fun
how
Easter
could it have
egg.
been any worse?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to run something
Right?
by you. I want to run something by you all. It would have been really funny if they did a reverse Trouble, where Uncle Ben was the father of baby Peter. That would have been really
Oh.
funny.
Oh my god.
I'm
You should
glad
always-
I'm glad
Oh.
you're not involved in making films in any way.
It could have been worse.
Tyler, look into the future. Would that have gone over well with audiences?
No.
She's like a fart in church, Brad.
Like a turd in the wind.
Okay. All right. Let's. Any other pros we've not mentioned?
One small one. You know, sure there's always like references and stuff, but I do appreciate that Maddie actually mentioned her Uncle Jonah.
Yes.
So,
Mm.
that was good.
Do you
Like
like
it-
the responsibility lines in it?
No.
Don't be an uncle. It's what was the line? It's he's going to be an uncle. It's nothing, no responsibility or something like that.
It's all the fun, none of
Fun
the
and no
responsibility.
responsibility.
You like that line being dropped?
No.
You like the Wendy? What was the line with the? There's another responsibility.
It feels
Yeah,
like a
there's
smarmy.
too many
It's-
responsibilities.
It
Is it
feels
the-
like a
is-
smarmy Bill Jamis line.
Is it the one in when she's underwater where she goes, "When you become responsible, you gain gate power"?
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
funny. That was
I don't even
funny.
remember
I
that
don't
one.
remember that, but
Me
yeah.
neither. We didn't get that.
I
cut in
liked
Missouri.
that one.
Mhm.
I like
like
the
that
way
last
that her powers worked. The way that, like she could see like the webs and the connecting and everything. I it's a stupid slot
Mhm.
concept that I hate, but I thought it was done well in the film.
Her web connects us
fair.
all.
Sarah, go ahead.
I agree to go off of what George just said. I really liked how at first, like, they really showed how she didn't understand what was going on, and they even went to they would flash back to normal time or however you want to say it, and she'd be like, "Didn't we just go through this?" I think they did that very well.
I wanted to see like her boss, the lieutenant or captain or whatever, like start haunting her towards the end. I could have lived, you know.
Oh,
So she
I-
could get some guilt.
It's like the floating heads of guilt.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
this isn't a pro, but I thought it was really funny how I don't remember. It wasn't really that funny, I guess.
Hornacek says, I feel bad that Tyler isn't seeing any of these comments in chat.
Oh, I remember what it was. The ADR in Ezekiel was really funny, like how obvious
Yes.
the ADR was.
Oh, that was so bad.
Mhm.
No, that's why it was so great. It's because it's hilarious.
That was
Like,
so bad.
They
I was
took
gonna
my
mention-
spider.
I was going to mention that during the cons.
Yeah.
Here, we're moving into cons. I'm going to lead off with the first con.
So,
It's a missed
so this
opportunity.
is the rest of the podcast, right? All the cons.
Where cons connect us all.
Look, Tyler is predicting the future. The missed opportunity, this was set in 2003, and this actress was alive to play Madam Web. If we indeed went back in time, I think it was a missed opportunity. We didn't shoot this in 2003. and B. Arthur should have played the original Madam Web. What do you guys think?
What the hell is
You know,
wrong with you?
Brad, you're not incorrect. That my personal
Thank you.
conspiracy theory is that this movie was actually made in 2003, and then like it got sucked into a time portal, and then someone pulled it out and was like, "Oh, look, a movie to put out. Cool."
I
The
mean,
first
doesn't
time-
that look like Madam Web right there?
Stop
The first
torturing
time-
her.
The first time she has to run, that's it. That's the B. Arthur expires right there.
Well, that's what the Madam Web I grew up with. She's in a chair. She's an old woman.
I mean, yeah, I would have preferred. Maybe we could have got a Helen Mirren or somebody, who's like older and still foxy.
Foxy. Also, I think it's a missed opportunity that we did not show the OG Madam Web from 1977. The original Madam Web that was in the movie, what premiered in 1980 in Amazing Spider-Man number 210. It was a who's the guy that passed away that that JR doesn't like? The Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil created Madam Web along with John Romita Jr. on pencils, and his first full-time issue 40 years ago was on ASM.
Well, he's dead,
210.
so he can't really do anything.
That's true. But the OG Madam Web could have made a cameo in this. And do you guys remember the OG Madam Web?
Nah.
Let me refresh you. She was in a Hostess Twinkie ad back in 1977. Spider-Man and Madam Web. So let me just read these panels to you. The Webhead accused of tangling Harbor in his web. Everyone thinks I'm to blame. I'm tired of running from the cops, but I must get through and save the Harbor. And then this Madam Web right here says, I've loved Spider-Man, but he rejected me. Madam Web. So my revenge. I'll make everyone blame him for tangling the Harbor. And Spider-Man, my only love, come with me and let's run away. Madam Web, that love-crazed fiend. Well, if I give you a whole bunch of delicious Hostess Twinkie cakes instead, would you clear the Harbor in my good name? Oh, for that, I'd clear up the ocean, the whole world, anything. Oh, golden sponge cream-filled cakes. First I lose Spider-Man, then the Hostess Twinkie cakes. What a tangled web. She's such a loyal admirer of mine. Yay, Spider-Man! Yay, Twinkies!
Why are we reading this proof of concept for Silk? Did Dan start like this?
Anyway, you'll get a big delight in every bite of Hostess Twinkie cakes.
That's what she said.
So there you go. That's the original Madam Web right there from 1977. Thoughts?
Why?
Did we need
Nothing.
Did we need a dramatic reading of that?
We did. You
Better than
asked for
Tyler.
it. We asked for
Tyler,
it.
how are
apparently.
you reading your phone with that on your eyes? What are you doing?
Don't worry about it, Brian.
Okay.
One thing though.
Oh, I'm
Collins.
not putting that Sequana comment up. Oh, Jesus.
What do you say?
I'm not
Okay.
putting that.
Oh, Lord. Good Lord. Yeah, I know Sarah's mom crickets. All right. I thought the hostess gag would go over. Christina, what?
I love that her origin story stems from marketing and continued.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, she beats Ezekiel with capitalism. You're right.
Yes. I mean, so
With crass capitalism.
yeah.
Christina, did you have something? You had your hand
I
up. What's
just
up?
wanted to say that that's funny you pulled that up because my mom's friend sent that picture to me this week with that stuff. So I knew exactly what you were talking about when you put that picture up because my mom's friend sent that to me this week. I was like, I knew what you were talking about. So
It was funny to me that they put a can of Pepsi in her hand and she didn't drink it.
I know she fiddled with the
She kind of
can.
fiddled with the can.
She
for a
did.
while.
She like
But
awkwardly turns into the
Multiple
camera.
times.
She never drank it, and I was like, "Dude, if I'm Pepsi and I'm paying for this, I'm calling Amy Pascal. I'm like, WTF, bro?"
No, it's fine. Pepsi's the hero in the end.
Hang on,
Yeah,
I've got it.
And then Amy Pascal, takes pauses between drinks, and then explains, "Well, we had the villain get killed by your pee. Isn't that good enough?"
Well, so Brad, I found the real hero of this movie. If you could pull him up from my screen
All right.
share.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Pepsi Man.
Pepsi Man.
Why does it?
Wait, is that a real thing?
Put
Yes.
it back. Put it back.
yeah, I know.
Put
Hang
it
on,
back.
I'm pulling it up. Pulling it up. All right, Brad. It's
Play
up.
back the entire message. All right. Why does it look like Rob Liefeld drew his chest? I mean, for real, it does. It looks
He has
like,
no feet. He has no feet. You're right.
It looks like that, that picture of Captain America that you see all the time that Rob Liefeld did, where it's like he's got his chest is out to here for some reason.
Why is he just mouth?
I don't
Well,
know.
there's a quote.
Why is he just
Why is he just mouth? He
Oh.
looks like a blow-up doll. Pepsi Man.
Wow.
Pepsi Man has a PS1 game. Pepsi Man. According to the internet, Dakota Johnson doesn't know how to open a can of pop. This is an actual thing.
What?
No,
It's
no.
on the internet,
False.
This
Hornacek.
has to be a bit.
That's crazy. No.
Clearly a joke.
Okay. Cons, Neil, we'll start with you and work our way back up.
Okay, so to be more fair and not just make jokes, this movie on a technical level is awful. Like in terms of pacing, it has a really fast really fast first act, which is fine to get the thing moving and keep people engaged. But then the middle of the movie, like the second act, slows completely to a crawl. Like it's just Maddie, Julia, and Anya just hang around the forest until they literally get bored and leave for a diner. And then the movie grinds to a halt again. So Dakota, I keep wanting to call her Cassandra, but I keep calling her Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson teaches her castmates CPR and then says, "Oh, hey, Adam Scott from Parks and Rec. I'm going to go to Peru for a week. Have fun." And the movie grinds to a halt again, so we can take a side plot over into Peru so she can get control of her powers. And the third act is like 15 seconds long. And it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm blind. Here's a cringe Rogue One line about how Uncle Ben's an uncle now. Also, you're superheroes in the future, so have fun." This movie's all over the place, man. Like on a technical level, this movie's like a complete mess.
Explain cringe Rogue One line. I don't get that.
Yeah, I didn't know
Okay,
what
so,
line you're talking
so like where they go out of their way to show to reference an old thing from Star Wars canon, where like the "you'll be dead" guy just kind of comes out of nowhere and like says, "Oh, we're wanted men. I'll have you know." It's just like going out of its way to reference something with like no finesse, or just like crams a cameo in, like, "Oh, look, Uncle Ben's an uncle, all of the fun, none of the responsibility." You remember the line from way back.
That's a good point, Hornacek. Cassie is wanted by the police for kidnapping 3 teenage girls. The film takes place 2 years after 9/11. How is she able to get a ticket and fly to Peru?
I'll
Didn't
talk
think
about
about
that in a
that one.
second. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other venting, Neil, needs done?
Well, I did think it was funny how Ezekiel is like, "Oh, hey, let's use the post 9/11 surveillance state to find these 3 random teenage girls." Is that why the movie set in 2003? Like, because aside from that, I can't think of like a
No,
aesthetic reason.
It's set in 2003 because it's to match up. It's to sync up with like how old Peter Parker is now in the
It's
MCU.
to match up Tom
No, I
Holland.
didn't think of that, but like the
Yeah.
movie's kind of
That's literally
arbitrary.
the
with
whole
its-
point. It's so
I'm-
obvious. How can you not?
Yeah,
see
it
that?
was obvious to me on that one.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually ever say Peter Parker in the movie, did they?
No.
Not once.
Like I know someone else said like they like the Jonah line. Like it's fine, but it to me it's another one of those like, "Oh, we need to remind people of who this character is" kind of lines.
I took it as like we know she's his daughter, not the uncle, but here we are referencing it, so don't bite our heads off. That's how I took it.
I forgot to mention this earlier, but the fact that they used her maiden name, Julia Carpenter's maiden name of Julia Cornwall, that's it shows someone did their research. Like someone actually went and did research, and
Wow.
they all got wasted.
I totally thought they messed that up. I didn't even know that was her maiden name.
Yep.
Cornwall,
Yeah,
huh?
Oh,
Yeah,
Wait
so
a
it's
minute.
like- it's like
She got married and had the kid, and her last name is Carpenter.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
that's why I'm so confused. Is it like clearly someone did some level of research, and it's so frustrating because then it gets all jettisoned out the airlock, so we can have like, "Oh, look at all these kind of blobs of clay we can kind of mold to do whatever we need."
Josh, cons out of you. F grade, I think, on you, wasn't it? F+.
yeah. When I was in middle school, there was like listen. When I was in middle school, that was around the time they were talking about casting Peter Parker in the MCU, and I decided it would be a great idea to write a fan trailer that I was going to videotape of me, send it in, and be the next Spider-Man in the MCU. This is prior to a Girl Spirit. Doesn't work now.
Wait. It didn't work out.
Wow, you're almost as good as a fortune teller as she is. And but like it was terrible. Like I can look back at it was terribly written. That's kind of how it felt. Like it was written by some grade 7 kid writing Wattpad fan fiction. I wasn't a huge fan of most of the. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that. Speaking of the screenwriters, they're the same ones who wrote Morbius and like a bunch of 2017 Power Rangers. Like, how do you feel upwards this badly?
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of thought, I really wondered if it was written just like by AI and then the writers went in and filled in the blanks.
I said this. Yeah. Every time I like look at clips of it, I'm like, was this just a tax write-off?
Well, because the story just didn't line up in a human way. I felt. I mean, it didn't tell a story, and so I felt like, I mean, that happens sometimes in editing and writing when you have too many people mixing in, where you start with a draft and then someone else writes, like maybe someone wrote Act 1 and someone else wrote Act 2 and someone else wrote Act 3, and then they tried to merge them. There was something wrong with the writing. Yeah, and it could have been the editors that cut it up where we're missing a piece, but
it definitely felt like the editing and even cinematography was just off. Like I had a great experience in the film, but it wasn't because the movie was good. It's like Tyler said, it was laughable how bad it actually was. And just one more con. There's one part where Ezekiel jumps up on a car, and it just reminded me of like I play Spider-Man for a living. That's my job, right? I've done this for 2.5 years. I've tried to make sure I copy the movements perfectly. The way he jumped up looks like they didn't hire me and just got the kid's 40-year-old dad to jump up on a car. Like the movement was just off, and it just really it just took me out of it. Like it. Yeah.
But do you pull a grenade out of nowhere?
No.
No.
Hello, children. Grenade.
Pull it out of your prison pocket.
Oh,
whoa.
So,
hey, yo.
So,
Jesus Christ.
So, Brad, what the overall point of this movie that I got was that it was Sony spending $150 million to keep the rights to Spider-Man.
Like
wait, that's how much this movie cost?
No,
oh my god!
Okay, so the production budget was $70 million, and then I'm guessing they spent about that much on advertising, which I can't believe because there's like 2 trailers total.
So yeah, it just felt like they're just throwing it out there because they want to keep it around so that Lightning can strike twice and they can almost make another $2 billion on another. Spider-Man
and what's the rule? They got to make a Spider-Man movie every 2 or 3 years. What
every 5 years, and I think like 6 months or something like that.
Last year we had Across the Spider-Verse. This year, Madam Web and Craven.
And Venom 3.
Someone brought up a point that this is like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. I disagree. The Roger Corman Fantastic Four, as dumb as it was, at least felt sincere.
They've gotten the closest to getting Doctor Doom right.
That's what I'm saying is that like there's a sort of sincerity to the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie. Yeah. This is just like, what properties do we have? Madam Web, book it. Let's go.
That's a sad story. The whole Fantastic Four thing. Like when you hear the actors talk about it, they didn't know they were making a trash throwaway film that was, just being done for rights.
Sarah, cons we've not mentioned.
I felt obviously the whole movie was set up for their future, right? And I thought that it was very long. The movie wasn't long, but it felt like it was long, and then when we got to the end, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, we have some cool stuff going on, and then it was over, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I want to see more of that. So that kind of took me out of it. The costumes of the Spider-Women I did not like. It reminded me of like the nipple Batman vibe. Who is that?
Nipple Batman.
Val
George Clooney.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. It gave me that kind of vibe, so I wasn't a fan of the costumes. And then another thing is like, how did that taxi like last that long? Like not being found, and like it hit Ezekiel, and then I believe it hit something else too. Hit Ezekiel and then hit the diner. Like, how is this thing still drivable? And like she like either kicked off or ripped off the license plate, and I'm like, I think it's a little harder to do that than than we saw.
Get the crowbar.
Also, something Kelly wanted to mention. Well, Kelly and I talked earlier. That the Toxic song.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the movie took place in 2003. Toxic was recorded in 2003, but not released until 2004 in January. So, like, you know, some
immersion.
parts they did their research, but not in other aspects. So.
And I actually wanted to mention the taxi real quick because she takes that to go to the airport, and then she comes back a week later. She still has it.
Yep.
It's her taxi now.
Did she just like keep it parked at the airport?
She drives that thing after she becomes Madam Web.
And it's all like dented and everything. It's like, doesn't someone see something wrong here?
Mhm.
Like, if I saw a car with that much front end damage, I'd be like, no, that's probably someone who drove away from an accident. Like, you know.
So, Sarah, you brought up a good point about music. Like, you brought up Britney Spears, but I think one of the most damning things about this movie is that I don't remember the score at all. And Josh and I kind of texted about this, that like they kind of almost stole from the Insomniac score, but music to me tells a story. Like, and the closest comparison is Across the Spider-Verse. Daniel Pemberton is a phenomenal composer, and the way he uses music to tell a story adjacent to the one that's on the screen is phenomenal. I think he was almost Oscar nominated, but this was just like generic superhero
AI, give me a soundtrack. Yeah.
Hey Siri, give me a superhero soundtrack.
I gotta pop this comment up from McNulty here. It's almost expecting a deleted scene where Detective Horatio Crane looks at Ezekiel's body and says, quote, looks like someone failed the Pepsi challenge.
Destroy, build,
That's
destroy.
good, I'm going to give Mrs. Crawlspace an opportunity to embarrass me about Britney Spears and the Toxic song. We were dating in 2004. We got married in 2005. Feel free to share the year 2004 and me the song Toxic.
Yeah, so we were sleeping and his alarm goes off and Toxic is playing as part of the music of the alarm. And he's just kind of dancing in his sleep. He doesn't get up. He's just like
You're toxic.
And now I'll give it to him that he was assigned a morning show at that time. So it was like 3 a.m. when his alarm goes off, but he just incorporated that into his dream of some sort because he was just having a nice time. And I was like, get up and get out, buddy.
And that's when you knew, the way you know about a good melon.
Oh yeah. He's a keeper.
This is mine. Yeah. This
Did you just compare Brad to a melon?
Why not?
I've used that line twice now.
Well, you tap it, and am I a keeper?
No,
yeah.
both times, no one
Am I a
understood
keeper?
what it meant. It's from When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, okay.
At the end, when they're talking about the old people, and then the old lady is like talking about her husband, and she's like, and then I just knew. I knew the way you know about a good melon.
And Sarah's mom says Brad's a sleep dancer. Yep.
Yeah.
Brittany comes on to this day, and I'm shaking it.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm gonna add that to the karaoke list.
Oh yeah. I know some Brittany.
Now it relates. Of course.
Wendy, for real, do you catch him dancing? Is that an actual thing?
Oh, he does. Yeah. It's hard to make him stop.
Oh,
okay.
Hey, I'm shaking.
I'm not saying he's good. I'm saying.
There it is.
I didn't ask. I just kind of assumed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, like, how often does that kind of thing happen? And what songs does he dance
Oh my
to?
goodness. I mean, usually inappropriate songs if we're around children.
Oh,
my God.
Like,
I
wow,
just heard
like
him-
how inappropriate are we talking
yeah.
here?
I'm just
is he
wondering.
Candy
I mean,
Shop
I
Jack?
feel like it's Baby Got Back around a 6-year-old or
Okay.
like that. Which is like,
I would pay money to see that,
I
Brad.
can't remember what it. But there was some time when Ava was a little younger and he came home singing a Nicki Minaj song, and I was like,
Brad,
give us some Nicki Minaj or some Baby Got Back. Let's see.
Super bass. I
wait.
got that super bass. Na 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 na.
Okay,
super
wait,
bass.
no, you gotta dance. Hold on.
do the gritty.
I'll be honest.
Oh,
I did not
yeah.
see it.
I hate that you know that.
Oh,
Okay, now you gotta dance, Brad.
This is
This is one false.
This
This is one for the troops.
I am
This is
so
what- this is
glad
what a
I
troop-
can't.
this is what a kid-
I'm so glad I can't see this.
Brad, your whole Crawlspace persona has been a lie. Thanks, Wendy.
Has it though?
No, yeah. Doing the web wiggle. I don't even know what that is, Al.
That sounds. Oh,
Wiggle,
no.
wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle. Put your booty into it. Yeah. Anyway, Sarah has one more.
What the hell? What?
Yeah.
Put your
web
booty
shooter
into
don't
it?
want none unless you got thwip, son. Sorry.
Oh yikes.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
Sarah,
I'm
you had
sorry,
one more.
Wendy.
Yeah.
Sarah, you had one more con.
Yeah, I wish Aranya would have had her like spider symbol thing. This thing, you know.
Oh,
I wish
yeah.
that would have been a thing. That was it.
Aranya was so forgettable.
Yeah.
I
She
mean-
had her. The most interesting thing about her was the shirt. Like, I eat math for breakfast.
I couldn't even read it. I didn't know what that said.
She was inconsistent. She didn't know if she wanted to be a bad girl or a good girl. She was caught in between,
Yeah.
and she was just so bland and just so uneventful. Like I can remember specific things that happened with Sydney Sweeney's character, with Julia Carpenter or non-Carpenter, and the other one, the bad one, the over-the-top one, who was playing Maddie Franklin. Like I can remember specific things they did. I can't remember a damn thing Aranya did.
Sequana says that I have been hiding that I'm really the Lord of the Dance.
As Weird Al would say, you are the true Lord of the Dance. No matter what those idiots at work say.
Yeah, that's true. Tyler, we're looking for cons. You probably already found them.
Boy, I guess I'll try to keep this as concise as possible.
Yeah.
But because there's a lot.
Where's the magic 8-ball?
I mean, first off, I think just Ezekiel's performance is absolutely ridiculous. Just the way he's like, obviously they ADR'd like every single one of his lines. It's like a Japanese movie. You can tell like he's not moving his mouth sometimes, and there's just like
It was so
like
weird.
lines playing, and it's just like every line is just ridiculous. Like you have to look them up better, and it's like they took my spider. Like,
Give me the NSA password.
yeah, but a big thing is that there's so many to reach the next scene. There's so many plot details that make absolutely zero sense whatsoever. So first off, she gets the girls in the taxi. She saves them from Ezekiel, and then immediately on the radio, it's like, she has kidnapped these 3 girls. Like that was really fast. And then she says like, okay, I need to keep you girls with me because you're the only ones who know that I didn't kidnap you. Why does she not go to the police? She just decides to go to the woods and lay low for some reason. and then on top of that, once the girls go to the diner, even though this is the same day, there's already a newspaper that talks about these 3 kidnapped girls.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't think about that.
Yep.
And then on top
A
of that,
Daily Bugle dropped, by the way. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, and so then the random guy calls it in, and Ezekiel manages to intercept that call, and then he goes, and then eventually Julia comes and saves them, and then somehow after that, even though there was no cameras or anything, the Ezekiel's hench lady, she looks up Julia's face despite never have seen Julia at all, or sorry, not Julia, Cassandra. She's never seen Cassandra at all, and she's able to just look her up. It's like, oh, this is Cassandra Webb. How do you know that? Ezekiel didn't, but did Ezekiel describe her perfectly to you to look up into the camera system?
She's a hacker man.
Oh my
That's
god.
all you need to know. It's magic. They ain't gotta explain it, Tyler.
She's the girl in the chair.
Also, can we talk about how like apparently this is like a really big actress who was just chair lady and then she got relegated to like 2 minutes of screen time?
That was playwright David Mamet's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure she's like a up and coming actress. Like,
Yeah, she's been doing stuff, but that's David Mamet's daughter.
Yeah, but
Who was it?
The gal in the chair looking up stuff for
the
Ezekiel.
NSA
Oh,
lady.
okay, yeah.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
hacker
and
mans.
This NSA technology can also control the traffic lights, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Zia
and then
Mamet.
I kept
And so
trying to think if they were playing a character in the comics, like that lady in the chair. I'm like, who they're trying to say she is? It's just
I don't think she's just a
her
person.
name is Amaria.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have the cast right in front of me.
Yeah,
And
so-
anything else, Tyler?
Yeah, so then on top of that, after she pushes these 3 girls onto Ben, and he just, I guess, immediately believes her of this crazy story, and then he keeps them. She goes to Peru, whatever, and then for a whole week, and Ben's just had them at home for a week. The baby's coming. He's like, "Girls, let's go to the hospital." What?
Yeah.
I assume that she told him that there's a killer trying to get them, and they've been safe at his house for a week. So why are you taking them to the hospital? Just
So he's not leaving them alone to get murdered at the house.
Yeah, I
they've been
assume
safe there for a whole week with no cameras.
He's got a nephew to get born.
he's got a
He can go. They can stay at home. They don't need to come to the hospital.
I assume the idea was to keep an eye on them so that he could protect them if something happened, but
Like a responsible adult. What's wrong with
with
you?
great
Tyler?
power.
You're a monster.
Yeah, just leave the teenage girls at home. What's the worst that
Yeah.
could happen?
As a
They
mom
will
of
get
a teenage
grenade thrown
girl,
at them.
I have to
Yeah.
say you can't. They make bad decisions in groups.
yeah.
Don't leave them alone in groups.
Definitely not.
All right, Tyler. Do you see anything else in the future for the cons?
I mean, I'm sure we'll have our next
Yeah.
person talk about some more cons because
What, you saw that coming, Christina? He predicted you would go and talk. Go ahead,
What is
Christina.
it?
Go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First, I wanted to say something about her going to Peru and how easily she got in there. I watched a video today. Somebody had pointed out that her birth certificate is from Peru, that she was born in
Oh.
Peru. So somebody said maybe that's how she got in there so easily.
I had wondered about her citizenship. I was just because when her mother passed away in Peru, and so she was born in Peru, and she doesn't have any. Why was she in America?
How did this? Oh,
Yes.
sorry, George.
Even that far back in the early 2000s, if you were born to an American citizen outside of America, you're still an American citizen. Now, you can still
Mhm.
have dual citizenship, I guess, in Peru if Peru's cool with it. It's not that far of a stretch of the imagination. But
what I
yeah,
want,
technically that's possible.
what I want to know is how this secretive, never before seen society of Los Araños managed to get her to the airport.
Well, they just put her in the suitcase that her mom had.
Yeah, just put her in a FedEx box. Just put her in a FedEx box.
Box
For
of fed the chips, yeah.
That was one of
2-day
the many-
delivery.
That was
They
one
gave-
of many confusing things about this movie. Why did they even bother to send her to America? Why didn't they raise her themselves?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of dudes.
It's not their kid. It's not their problem. Their responsibility.
No,
They
I'm
got
saying,
Amazon Prime 2-day shipping, baby, to New York.
Yes, and then before I forget to Avi Arad and Amy Pascal were not attached to this movie, but the producer of Transformers was.
Was it
So-
Kurtzman or
It was how do you say his last name?
Lorenzo di Bonaventura?
Yep, it was him
Whoa.
that was attached to it. And then with the movie, from what I was hearing about stuff online, the original thing might have been where they were trying to save Mary Parker and prevent Peter Parker from being killed so he could become Spider-Man in the future. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what the original story was supposed to be, and for whatever reason Sony chickened out.
So I'm gonna be honest, they kind of dodged the bullet with that. I hate whenever Peter's tied to like cosmic destiny BS. We're like, oh, he's going to
Yeah.
become the hero we all need to save the world or something. I hate that. His entire thing is being grounded in reality.
Yep.
So street level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so why are we making him cosmic? As bad as the movie is, they dodged a real bullet in like how they were approaching baby Peter.
I'm trying to think of all the stuff I have to say.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
Christine. I didn't mean to.
You're fine, because you were talking about what I was talking about. Shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. I think we need to talk about the elephant in the room, and we've mentioned him quite a bit already, Ezekiel Sims. What the F did they do to him in this movie?
Took a spider.
They took
Well,
So-
They somehow took a shitty character and made him shittier.
Here's my theory, and we're going to discuss this after we get through cons because I've made some photoshops of all the individual things we're going to talk about in a minute. But in my opinion, what they did with Ezekiel is they blended him a little bit with Moreland, and I think they blended him a little bit with Madam Web's grandkid. that blonde girl that was in the
Yes.
third Spider-Woman series. I think they made a combo platter of her, of him in that. Because Ezekiel, and again, it's 20 years ago that I read this story, but I don't think Ezekiel was evil like he is here.
No,
No.
confirmed. Ezekiel was evil.
He was evil?
Ezekiel, I mean, he tried to get Peter killed.
He was self-serving. He was more just about himself.
Yeah,
Yes.
but he wasn't a murderer. I think didn't he warn
He
that
literally tried to have Peter murdered.
what?
Brad.
No,
Wasn't by the
Moreland
Anansi-
tried to get Peter murdered, if
Was
memory
it by like
serves.
the Anansi tribe so he could like get Peter's power
Yeah,
to save
he
himself from
he
Moreland?
basically wanted Peter to get sacrificed instead of him so he could keep his powers or something. But then when Moreland did come around, he did have a change of heart and he like attacked Moreland for Peter.
I just didn't like any of that stuff of the JMS storyline.
Oh
I
no,
didn't like any of that,
weakest stuff. Yeah.
and I kind of tried to block it out.
And then the problem with Ezekiel is he killed everybody at the beginning of the movie just so he could get the spider. But why did he need the spider in the first place? And
He wanted the
then
power.
yes, but the problem is then his motivation throughout the entire film was just to prevent his death from these three girls who are going to kill him in the future. And then but then he dies anyway, and it's like. And then it was a complete waste not having these girls become Spider Women and Aranya. S.J. Clarkson, who directed this movie, said it would have been too greedy if they did that.
Greedy?
Yep, that's what she said. To have all those origin stories in this one movie and stuff. But because what happened was the marketing for this film was so bad. They only had one trailer, just so you know. They had one. And then
one TV spot.
I
normally
didn't see
with Sony stuff, they have like 7 or 8.
But it was I said in the car, I thought this was a bait and switch. The trailer had those costumes and those girls in it.
Yes.
We thought we were going to get a Spider-Woman movie coming in. We didn't get that. We got 5 minutes and we saw 2 of it in the trailer.
Well, you see,
Of the-
Brad, Sony has mastered a new marketing campaign. It's called lying.
Yeah.
It's the old Kangaroo Jack bait and switch.
What? Refresh me with that. What is that?
There was a movie called Kangaroo Jack, and in every commercial there was a rapping kangaroo wearing a hoodie, and then in the movie that is a hallucination for 5 seconds.
And it's just like 3 guys in the Australian outback just goofing off, and then the kangaroo's
That's
there for like a
called the
minute.
Kangaroo Jack theory. I love that.
Oh my gosh.
I
Oh,
agree.
my
Christina,
heart.
the marketing, I felt deceived. Yes.
And then a lot of what Tyler said is accurate too, especially with her going on that freaking quest to Peru and stuff in the cave, and then just quickly doing the thing, learning about her power. And then I want to mention the humor really quick too. I don't know if they were just trying to make this funny, and for me it wasn't funny. Nobody in my theater laughed at this movie at all, and I think they were trying to like. Dakota Johnson has a dry sense of humor, I guess, but I did not laugh at this movie at all.
I laughed. It was funny.
Yes.
I laughed, but I don't think it was intentional. I was supposed to laugh. Like every time, take a shot every time Ezekiel got hit by a car. I laughed on the second hit.
I laughed when capitalism beat Ezekiel.
The Pepsi falling, I laughed.
And then with the spider powers that she got when she was in the room when her mother was dying, they were talking about like wall crawling and stuff, but she can see the future. So why couldn't she wall crawl?
Well, you see the plot.
Oh, I laughed at the wedding shower when she goes, "Oh, I put nothing on it because my mom died in childbirth." I thought that was kind of fun.
It just kills the room.
It killed the room.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
And she's looking right at like Mary when she says
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
So here's the thing. I went to see this movie, and like I said, there was a crowd of people. Most of them were like on Valentine's Day dates. And when Dakota Johnson's in the water, she's got all the fireworks flying past her into the water. The one that bops her on the face and makes her go blind. I laughed at that, and I got like a bunch of dirty looks from people. They're like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And I was like, "That's kind of funny." I looked at someone. I said, "Yeah, it's kind of funny, though."
I mean, I feel like that's every day with you.
Oh my gosh.
Where people are probably looking at you and you know, that way and saying, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
do want to say one more thing though about with
Alrighty.
them learning CPR and stuff. I was a medical assistant for 4 years, and so I was certified in CPR. Every time somebody does something wrong with that, I always notice, and it gets on my nerves so bad because it's like, no, just switch with your when you're tired. It's like, no, count to 30, do 30 chest compressions, and then once you get tired after 5 cycles, then you're supposed to switch. And it's like whenever they do that wrong, it bugs me. So it's
See,
like that.
I think
was
it's funny that you are bothered by the medical stuff. Josh is bothered by the stunt people not dropping like Spider-Man should. You know, I think that's funny. They should have hired you guys as consultants.
Christina, you have to understand these are simple people. These are show.
Come on, lesser time.
They don't know the intricacies of a lot of things.
Can we
These are
talk,
just simple Hollywood people.
can we talk
George,
about how,
let's hear your cons. What have we not said?
Well, let's not cut Neil off. Neil's trying to.
Oh,
what do you
sorry,
wanna
Neil had
say,
some.
can we talk about how CPR is like the only thing that anyone does medically in this movie? It's just always CPR. CPR saves everybody.
Okay, CPR is the only thing they do medically in this movie. We've
but
talked
they do
about
it wrong.
All right. There are, like Neil had made a reference to this earlier. The looping is so bad in some places, especially with Ezekiel, that it jumps out at you when normally it wouldn't. I noticed that, and I was like, dude, when you notice the looping, the movie's got problems. And the guy playing Ezekiel, this isn't a script problem. This dude is just bad. Like the performance is just, it's not there. He made Ezekiel even creepier than Ezekiel actually is, which is already pretty creepy. And he just, every time he was on screen, he would just say something and I would cringe because the delivery was just so skewed and unnatural. And I've never heard of this dude before, never seen him before, but I'm like, this is the guy you got to be your villain? Your villain should stand out and be memorable and be impactful and charismatic. This dude is none of that. This dude is like from Central Casting.
Could he have been Moreland? I think he could have been Moreland, don't you think?
No. Why? Number one, why would anybody use Moreland?
I know you hate Moreland.
That's a
I know you hate
stupid
Moreland.
character.
Mike asked that
stupid
question earlier.
Story, stupid totem stuff. No, I
His
forbid.
his costume also looked like if like the boys wanted a Spider-Man ripoff.
Oh, that's true. The boys,
Red Widow.
Yeah.
I hate that there's actually that's a thing, that there's actually somebody who wore a Spider-Man costume before Spider-Man did.
Oh yeah. I hate that too.
And so that got on my nerves.
Look, Spider-Man is just culturally appropriating these Peruvian spider people.
It freaked me out that that like Aranya and Maddie Franklin Spider-Woman and Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman are all like 20 years older, or 18 to 20 years older than Peter is.
Yeah, it's a flip. It's
not
a
20,
flip
right?
of what it's in the comics. Yeah,
17 to 18 years old. Yeah, it's a flip.
Yeah.
But at least, and when I take it back. When Spider-Man is an adult, Madam Web will be just a little bit younger than you and me, Brad.
Yeah,
and that's weird. That's
Yes,
weird
I
to think
agree.
about because in my mind, Madam Web's still an old lady.
Yeah.
I think it'll be funny. Like in 16 years, when Peter gets bitten by the spider, he's like, there's this newspaper article about a man who was like breaking things in New York. I use that as my costume.
The weird
Right.
thing too is that they don't really line it up with the MCU either, because like the MCU Spider-Man is born in 2001, so it opens kind of a door for like Sony's like own. They can recast if they want their own Spider-Man.
Well, remember with Sony, Sony's MO now is, oh, this is this, but it's not, but it is, but it's not really, but it is. Sony's all over the place. Mostly so is Amy Pascal.
Yeah, is Vulture showing up in Morbius saying, I don't know why I'm here, but I think it has something to do with Spider-Man.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Anything else, George?
Off the top of my head, no. I didn't think this movie was as dreadful as a lot of people have thought. And I think chiefly that's because it didn't suck as bad. And I went in fully expecting it to. And I just when I got out, I was like, I didn't hate it like I thought I would.
Yeah. You didn't have to use a pun, the venom that you.
Brad, no, why? Brad,
Venom. Wendy, what have we not said? Anything that you can think of? I love your comment about it felt like an AI wrote it. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I mean, like Christina, I kind of wondered about how her whole travel went. And I was really curious because I'm an American citizen born abroad. Both my parents were born in the USA, but I was born outside the country while my father was in the service. And so I have acquired citizenship. And I was just like, but if her parents are no longer living, anyway, I logistically had to nerd out on that for a while and turn that around. And then I also wondered, how did the spider live so long? I mean, that's a 30-year lifespan for I mean, because did it make it from Peru to
Right.
America and live
Super
in his
rare
apartment?
mystical spider.
I don't think that's the same spider that bites Peter. I didn't get that impression.
No. But he had like a little terrarium
Oh, I
for
think
the
he
spider.
I think he just had more of that kind of spider.
I think it's just the same one that he got when he killed Cassandra's mom. And
Remember
then...
the movie said it was so rare. I've never seen one. When the mom was taking the picture, and then we got one in a jar, and then the guy takes it, puts it in his house.
Yeah, but then in his apartment, he's got like 3 or 4 of them.
I only
No,
saw
Does he?
one.
I only
Just
No,
saw
he
one.
only had one.
How would he have
It's just
more?
the one. It's they took my spider.
But
I mean-
but like Wendy, like I agree. Like, how is it still alive after
It's
all
a
that time?
magical power.
No, that's
spider.
ridiculous.
He fed it.
Taylor,
long
how
do
do you
these
know?
spiders
You
live?
couldn't even
But
watch the
what
movie.
would you
blind.
feed it? And if
look.
it did reproduce, you would have millions of them.
He fed it the NSA woman.
Yeah, that's true.
If it
It
reproduced, it'd be like Marvel Publishing. There'd be millions of books. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Christina,
It-
what did you?
It has healing abilities. That's probably
Yeah.
why it's able to live longer. So
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that like they make a big deal out of Ezekiel getting like the only one where if he just stayed like calm for like 5 seconds, he would have had like a bajillion of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was necessarily about this movie, but it did. I just did not, willingly give up my disbelief like I do some others. I mean, I believe Spider-Man was bit by a radioactive spider and he's able to climb buildings and shoot webs. But for some reason, I couldn't believe that Cassie made it from Peru to America to Peru. And then,
In like a week.
yeah, and then and the spider lived 30 years and
Took you out of
I
it.
mean, just there's so many things that I was like, how does that work?
This is a dumb question. Was the guy I didn't pay attention that well? I was kind of live messaging my friends about how bad the movie was while it was watching it in the theater.
You're that guy in the theater?
Yeah,
So-
because
Come on.
So you weren't even watching it.
no, I was.
Get off this show. I'm just kidding.
But was the same guy who dipped Cassandra's mom in the water the guy who gave Cassandra her spirit quest? Or
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
100%.
that was
It was
the-
the
Yeah.
poor man's Peter Stormare.
But yeah, he just wasn't covered in like fishing net.
Yeah.
okay, in like carbon nanotubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm a normal guy now. Don't worry about him.
Nathan says New York to Peru is surprisingly only an 8-hour flight.
Okay.
Anything else, Wendy? That you cons you didn't like?
No, I mean, just really the writing overall. I was curious about how that process went because it really just seemed so discombobulated. It didn't. It felt like you were putting pieces together rather than having someone unilaterally put the script together.
Wendy, did you find it boring in places?
Yeah. I mean, I know my daughter asked me when it was going to be over, and but we
because
also
a
brought
teenager.
we also yeah. I mean, she asks that anytime we go anywhere. But we also had a 6-year-old with us who giggled quite often. She really thought it was funny, and she said she loved the movie in the car.
Because I think it was Neil had mentioned, or maybe it was Josh, I can't remember, that the middle act kind of drug.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that I noticed that too. There were parts in the movie where it got boring and it was slow. And to me, as a film goer, there are forgivable cinema sins, and then there are sins that are not forgivable. And being boring is not
Absolutely.
forgivable.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
so there were a couple of times when it needed to pick up, and they needed to get away from that diner. They were so proud of that diner set, they just kept
Yeah.
reusing it.
Mhm.
You know. And I was like, let's maybe shift to somewhere else. Oh no, Ezekiel's going to talk to Cassandra right here in the
Yeah.
wreck diner in their
That's
minds while they're dreamscaping or whatever.
I guess you could say it's a toxic relationship with that diner
Yeah.
set.
I didn't understand that scene at all. She just randomly dreams about going to the like, was that just a possible future of her going back to the diner? Ezekiel's there for some reason, and he just explains the entire thing to her.
They were dream weaving, Tyler.
Were they? Is that how it works?
It's magic. It's magic. They ain't got to explain it.
Yeah. There was a point where
It's like
between
pin
the
particles.
flashbacks of her mother and the reading the future and things like that, just the I think it was the point where they reenacted the birth of Cassandra or the death of her mother. That part made me think, they only had to shoot half the scenes from the movies because they play them all twice.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it felt like Groundhog Day at some point, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like the scene where she and her mom got to interact, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so
She
sorry
hugged her.
for hating you," basically.
Mhm.
That I enjoyed.
Is
enjoyed that.
is this really true in chat? Hosa Taco, love the name. Dakota Johnson fired her talent agency when she found it was not a Marvel Studios movie. Is this true?
So, Christina might have the answer.
I do. She actually dropped her talent agency after the trailer aired. Is when she dropped her agency. So,
there is a 100% chance that she was under the assumption that she was going to be in a Marvel Studios movie, and I say this because Sydney Sweeney posted the Marvel Studios logo when she was cast as Julia Carpenter or Julia Cornwall, and then deleted it after people pointed out that that Sony isn't part of Marvel Studios.
That's her agent's problem. That's an agent not communicating with their talent.
Go ahead, Mrs. Crawlspace. What were you going to say?
Oh no, I wasn't.
Oh, it is to an extent, but at the same time, I mean, if you're an actor, you ought to know.
Absolutely.
I feel like you ought to know who the studios are and what they do. This is your line of work. But at the same time, I've read so much stuff since this movie came out where it's clear the press, the media doesn't know that this isn't a Marvel movie.
yes.
Yeah,
And-
the same exact thing happened with Morbius, where Matt Smith, Kieran Gillen, who plays Nebula, she was his co-star in Doctor Who, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you should totally do a Marvel movie." And so then he was approached to do Morbius. He's like, "Marvel movie, okay, sure, let's go." So,
well, that was back before the MCU started to suck.
But the movie poster does have a Marvel logo on it.
Yeah, but it's not Marvel Studios. They
Right.
they make that distinction.
In association with Marvel Studios.
Well, no, it's not even Marvel Studios. It's just in association with Marvel.
Yes.
Because they can't.
Oh, it
Because
doesn't say Marvel Studios. It says okay.
Marvel.
But they still
Studios-
got the comic book page flip that looks exactly like the Marvel Studios.
That
used
Marvel,
to.
Marvel Studios is a distinct legal entity aside from Marvel, the broader company. So when a company is like Fox or Sony is creating their own movie separate from Marvel Studios or the MCU, they have to legally put in association with Marvel and not in association with Marvel Studios because they're collaborating with Marvel, the broader entity owned by Disney, not Marvel Studios, the entity owned by Marvel.
Now, I'm sure Amy Pascal in the back of her mind is like, oh, people will just assume it's Marvel and they'll go see it. We'll make even more money. And she doesn't realize being part of the MCU is not the draw it used to be.
Well,
it's a
Wendy,
damaged brand.
Wendy, any other cons before I go to my con?
Oh, I was liking this one comment from Hornacek.
Hornacek,
On Saturday Night Live, Johnson described the film as if AI generated your boyfriend's perfect movie.
That's what
I love that Dakota Johnson realized that it kind of seemed robotic in the script writing.
That's what I'm saying is that all the advertising and marketing around this movie was so all the actors were tapped out. No one cared. That's funnier than the movie itself was.
Right.
Because you would think that for this big push to get your movie out, you're like, oh yeah, go see go see Madam Web, and everyone's just like, yeah, Dakota Johnson left me on read for like a year after the movie finished shooting.
My cons. Unless Wendy, you got any more?
No, that's it.
Okay. I don't like the spider people in Peru that wear half Spider-Man costumes. It makes Spider-Man less special. It looks like he is a plagiarist and copies their costumes.
Mhm.
And I don't like that Ezekiel has a Spider-Man costume with the eyes. I think that makes Spider-Man less special.
I think it'd be hilarious if, like, J. Jonah Jameson one day he goes, "Spider-Man is culturally appropriating Peruvian culture."
Get me pictures of the Peruvian. Yeah.
Now, Brad, remind me, you enjoyed the Across the Spider-Verse movie with all the different.
You mean the Academy Award-winning Spider-Man film? Yes, I enjoyed that one.
The reason I bring that up is because now here you're saying, well, I don't like all these spider people, but I like all these spider people, but I don't like all these spider people.
Well, you know what? No, well, here, okay. That's a fair point. I agree that 1,000 spider people make Peter Parker less special. I like Peter Parker. I like Miles Morales. I like Miguel O'Hara. I like Mayday Parker. But at what point, when I start naming 1,000 different spider characters, does Peter Parker become less special?
To be fair, Brad, I just want to say there is a difference between a whole tribe of spider people existing before Peter Parker was born than spider people throughout the multiverse in like existing around the same time as Peter. There is a difference there.
Go ahead, Neil.
I'll say this, that the other spider characters around Miles in the Spider-Verse movies tend to serve a thematic purpose. They offer a sort of a contrast or a parallel to Miles that allows him to examine his own character arc. The spider people in Madam Web are less characters and more plot devices to accelerate the development the way the script needs it to happen.
And the Spider-Verse movies are better written. It doesn't feel like AI wrote them. They are more an enjoyable film than what we just watched tonight.
What I'm hearing is that Brad has a problem with Peruvians existing.
Indiana Jones 4? You're a teacher? Part-time.
What else don't I like? I guess that's about it. That hasn't been mentioned. I made some Photoshop, and I want you guys to, before we wrap this show up,
and Sarah's got a thing.
I want you guys to discuss.
Sarah's got a question, Brad.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sarah.
I don't have a question. I also wanted to add another con. So I saw this movie also in 4DX because there's a theater right by my house that has 4DX. And so anyway, it, with the moving seats and the water and the air and all that stuff. And it was less impressive than it was in Across the Spider-Verse. But I guess that's to be expected because it's more Spider-Man type things where the best parts of the 4DX experience were in the ambulance or in the taxi, right? Where you felt everything that was going on.
No, wait a minute. I've never been to a 4DX. You
I've
said
never
there's
heard of
water.
this. What?
Like when she falls in the water, do you get a bucket?
Yeah, you get
splashed at your
sprayed.
face?
You get sprayed with
mist.
like a mist. Yeah.
Did you get sprayed with a mist when she went in the water?
That's a personal question, bro.
Well, okay, real quick before Brad moves on,
we've been to when we went to the Lego.
We did.
Yeah. Remember that little movie we sat through, and it had wind and rain.
Nobody.
But these seats,
they had
these
smells.
seats move,
That's right.
Yeah, and these seats move so much now because I had gone to like Disney World or Disneyland and like gone on a ride like that right? But so like I had a hard time keeping my popcorn like in my lap. I had to set it down on the floor because I was going to spill it because the seat was like taking,
But you chose to go to that.
Yeah, because it's fun for me because I think it's I wanted to see how they'd integrate that movement with the movie. I was very curious compared to Spider-Verse and how, like, for example, the opening scene in Across the Spider-Verse with the drum part, like you felt that. You felt every single like drum hit, and there's so much more, like when they were swinging, you were moving around in those directions. So it's just a cool experience, but less cool.
How much extra does that ticket cost?
Well, I pay for the membership, so I only paid $8 for the ticket.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering what the average ticket cost was.
I think it's about 25 or maybe
Jesus.
20. Well, it's an experience, you know what I mean? So,
It
like,
is.
of course, it would
It's
be
a ride.
more.
It's a ride.
Yeah, and it's
I was getting
it's,
blood drawn, but I'm not paying $25 to get blood drawn.
well, it's the same. It's the same thing like IMAX, right? You pay more
Yeah, well,
for
yeah,
an
yeah.
IMAX.
Yeah, but on
Okay.
an IMAX movie, if I go to see something and a character in the movie farts, I don't get like, you know,
I
don't get flatulence blasted at me.
Before
I don't know.
move
Some
on-
theaters I've been into, the guy farts next to you. You got it enough. Yeah.
Before we move on, I
Yeah.
did want to say I think I disagree with George. I'm not going to die on this hill. On the scene where Cassandra talks to like her dead mom in like the spirit journey pool. I thought that scene was way too handholdy. Like it doesn't allow Dakota Johnson any range. She's literally holding the script in her hand, going like, "Oh, so you didn't hate me? Wow, I love you now, mom."
It treats the audience like it's an idiot. Like it's clearly setting up like, oh, she went to the Amazon to get cured by the spider, and then it's like, but I didn't have a muscular disorder. Like,
Yeah, and that's my problem. Is that
Also-
it doesn't allow Dakota Johnson to like have any like visual emoting range, and it just kind of holds the audience's hand and treats it like they're an infant.
Also, the meme line that went all over after that first trailer. My mom was researching spiders in the Amazon. What is that? What the quote is?
when
It's
she
not even in
died,
the damn movie, is
She
it?
was, she was researching spider. She was with him researching spiders in the Amazon before she died.
Yeah, that's not in the movie. I don't remember that. It sounds
Like I
like
said,
a
Sony's marketing campaign is called lying.
the
know-
what,
I
Tyler?
wanna know what,
The kangaroo
the
Kangaroo Jack.
effect.
kangaroo jack thing. That's what it's called.
I want to
Okay,
know what,
so here
what-
is some
hi,
screen from
Brad.
Photoshop, and I want you guys to talk about what, George? What?
Am I muted?
No, you're not.
No.
You're here.
Oh. Oh, you're just ignoring me. That's even better. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Dakota Johnson recently said that when she signed on to it, that the script was drastically changed.
Yes.
And I would like to know now what all got changed, what it was originally supposed to be.
Terminator.
Release the Dakota cut.
It was going to be the Terminator. The Ezekiel was after Mary Parker with Peter in, as a baby.
I
That's
mean,
what it was. I heard.
I mean,
think
it already kind of was like that. He was.
Nobody was
he-
trying to
it
kill
was by
Mary
accident.
Parker, though.
It was the original plot by accident, where like he conveniently wanders upon Uncle Ben and Mary as they're on their way to the hospital. It's like a coincidence.
So I made some Photoshops. Jesus.
Here's Sydney Sweeney.
All right. I want people's thoughts on comparing the comics versus what we saw.
Comics are better.
Would we have
think we
preferred an
saw
old
that.
woman in a chair that was built by her ex-husband, and she couldn't move, and it circulated blood?
At first, yes, but
Okay.
after seeing Dakota Johnson, no.
That suit's not even barely in it, is it? That she's in.
I'm
right
not
now?
talking
in the
about
movie.
her in the
And-
suit. I'm talking about her in the movie. But no,
You know what?
I would have preferred her to wear something like that. That would have been great.
One thing that we've never mentioned is
Bonk.
Madam Web is in one of the best Spider-Man stories of all time.
It kept going through my head.
Yeah.
When
The Roger
kept-
Stern, John Romita Jr., the Juggernaut story.
I kept wanting Juggernaut to come out at it
Absolutely.
at some point.
That's one of the best Spider-Man stories of all time. And Madam Web is it's almost forgettable that she's in that story, but
She's the Maltese Falcon in that story.
there you go. So any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, like, would I have preferred Madam Web in the comic books? Yes, but there's no doing that without Spider-Man. So, or at least I don't think. Like, how could they do that the right way? So now this has to become like a new rendition, a new version of Madam Web, and I don't know. I mean,
Same
the
thing with Venom, right? You know?
yeah.
Well, no, Vulture builds her the chair and goes, it has something to do with Spider-Man, I think.
Oh my god.
We need to form a team. Intriguing.
Sony
Yeah.
just doesn't want old people in their movies.
Like MTV Spider-Man.
The
And-
B.
yeah.
Arthur. B. Arthur.
And if you if you think back to when McNulty and I were covering those leaked Sony emails, you can read all through there, where they're talking about, oh, what we need to focus on the youth. Like she had that marketing guy, that sounded like a pretentious douchebag. messaging her, "Hey, a couple rando thoughts from LAX," and I'm like, "Oh my god, these people are awful."
Yeah.
But yeah, Sony's so obsessed with getting young people money, they're not going to put old people in these movies anymore.
Yeah.
Young people don't have any money anymore.
Yeah,
are we
because the
saying
old
that
people are the only ones with money now?
Are we saying that this Madam Web is better than the comics?
No,
No.
I don't think we're saying that.
No, but she was better for this movie, I think.
Like, if we got an old woman, that's like, why would I? It's just an old woman sitting around.
I'll be honest, an old woman like slamming into Ezekiel with cars would be pretty great.
She runs the ambulance. Into, my spleen!
Did I hit somebody?
My hip! She can't see above the steering wheel.
Like an old woman running into a building. That would be fun. That would be fun. Josh, would you go to that movie?
Yeah.
I think it would have been funnier if she was like Mr. Magoo and just like broke everything by accident. She accidentally pushes over the Pepsi sign onto Ezekiel. Oh, did I do that?
That's called a normal day in Florida, says Walter. Okay, here's the other photo.
Neil, try not to screech. You almost like made me go deaf here. There a second.
All right, here is Sydney Sweeney and here is the comic counterpart.
How does that not give you Batman? What is it? Batman Forever? Is it that one? How does it not give you those vibes? Like, look at that. Look at the texture of that costume. Like, no, thank you.
It's like an MCU costume.
No. Can't. No. Hard pass.
I like George's comment from a while back. I think they could have sexualized her up, but they didn't. They downplayed her.
Yeah.
She is underage in the movie, so it's like, oh, we don't want to sexualize this teenager.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a teenage mom, I would be really bothered.
Of all the spider people in the movie, this character is my favorite.
Cool.
And I'm kind of sad that this character isn't, because she's currently Madam Web in the comics.
Yes.
Because the old woman died and she took the reins. And I have a soft spot in my heart for this character because Secret Wars, George.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first black costume. This is what Spider-Man was inspired by to make the big poop glob that is Venom. Sorry, Tyler.
I would have loved to see her in the MCU Secret Wars that will eventually come out one day if Disney Marvel is still a thing.
Yeah.
By the time that's supposed to come out. I mean, she would be significantly older than Peter at that point.
Yeah, that's just weird. So is this character better than the comics?
No.
What?
No.
I wouldn't say better.
I would say we don't know enough about her.
Right.
She's been in the movie for like 50 minutes. We only have 50 minutes of her.
Yeah,
That's not fair.
What I care about is it a fair, portrayal of that character?
Well, in the comics, she's a mom. She's older.
Yeah, but here, she has to be a clueless teenager, Brad.
Yeah.
It's kind of the point of having the girls in there
Yeah,
to capture the youth dollar. That's
you
not
can't really compare basically pre-Powers Julia to like current comic Julia or whatever. It's just like this is like not even her origin story. It's like
the pre-origin story.
Yeah.
All right, here's another Photoshop. What do we think of Maddie Franklin?
Well, she's not
George,
written by
you said
John
you
Byrne.
can't stand her.
This was kind of a look at me, pick me kind of performance.
Pick me girl, huh?
Yeah, pick me girl. I couldn't get into it. It was
Here's the thing. I'm not a Maddie Franklin comic fan.
I am. I don't mind Maddie Franklin.
Really?
I felt bad when the way she got killed by the way
That was her best story. Kind of like Gwen
think
Stacy.
I think it was Dan Slott who was it Dan Slott
Nope.
that wrote that?
It was Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly.
Yeah, the snuff film way they killed her off. I'd never sat right with me. I thought the character deserved a little bit better.
Didn't she die on top of Craven's casket for a sacrifice?
They sacrificed her to bring Craven back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. The fact that she's not written by John Byrne, like it's like, I don't want to say she's better than the comics, but like at least she's not kissing a man twice her age.
Well, in
And-
the comics, he's not twice her age anymore. In the comics, they've de-aged him. I feel like to the point where.
But you know what I mean, though. Like it feels like John Byrne's fascination with young women isn't affecting her portrayal in this movie.
I don't think John Byrne has any thing to
In
do
looking
with
at this
film.
reminds me, is this the first character that had those arm or those legs coming out of the back like the MCU Spider-Man iron suit has? Like,
She
I think
came out
so.
before
right.
that.
I'm like, is this the character that inspired those legs for
I don't
that
care.
suit?
Who is wasn't there like a guy who tried being Spider-Man's sidekick who had
Oh, Steel Spider.
Yeah,
Steel
Ollie
Spider.
Osnick.
Yeah, Ollie.
Oh,
Yeah, Ollie.
okay. Yeah, that predates his character.
But
Yeah,
those were more like, I don't know. I feel like those are more like kind of like
Was
Dr.
it-
Octopus arms.
Yeah, I agree with that.
again,
I
I
also
think the
think
costume
that
looks
the-
cool.
I think it looks cool too. I just don't like the lenses. I wish they were not see-through.
It reminds me a lot of like I'm sure in the MCU actors there's like there's a clause in their contract. I have to have like this much face time, so I have to
Okay.
take off my mask for this much of the movie. I think if you made the lenses more translucent or more opaque, then it would be looking better because you wouldn't have like two sets of eyes looking at you.
Mhm.
All right, thoughts on this next one?
Forgettable
No,
character.
Absolutely not.
It looks like
Forgettable.
the 2017 Casada or Slot Spider-Man cartoon version of the costume.
Yeah.
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 That's exactly it.
Aranya, aka the Spider Girl. I know that's controversial to call her Spider Girl, but I couldn't find online a really good picture of the costume. I had to Photoshop.
It's not in the movie.
I know, right? Well, she was in the suit at some point, so that's the best image I could find of her in the costume.
They did show her that she has that like throwing thing, whatever.
Oh,
that
the
is.
yo-yo thing, or
Yeah,
I didn't
that
see
was
that. It was on.
It was in the
quick.
movie. I remember because they specifically have her in the beginning. She actually throws it at Ezekiel. It like floats in the air, comes back to her.
and it
And then-
boots her in the head. Yeah.
Yeah, and then very near the end, she also throws something. Just even though she doesn't have her powers or anything yet,
Hang on.
she does like throw something in a similar fashion.
Brad,
Okay.
I just sent you the version of the costume that I was talking about.
All of the action sequences when they're in their costumes are so dark.
Mhm.
Like they're shot, the way they're just lit, they're
Yep.
so dark you can hardly tell what the hell's going on. In the
Yeah,
first place.
I think
Julia's
it's-
is the only one that stands out because of that, because of the black and white.
Mhm.
I think it reminds me a lot of, this is relevant, I promise, the Halo show where they mask like the awful CGI with like a bunch of shadows to hide how bad the effects are. And I'm sure that's why they cast in such dark lighting, is because the CGI was like half baked.
Here is another. Here's Ezekiel.
It's not even the same.
Yeah, that's
the
the
same
same
character.
guy at all.
Brad, I did just send you a picture that has a little bit more of the costume than the.
We'll get those
of-
after I
of-
go through these that I made up. We'll go through
Okay.
because it'll take me a minute to get the other tabs. So
See, another
thoughts on
example,
the
you
comics
can't-
Ezekiel? Comics Ezekiel's better.
He's just a
you can't-
guy. He's just a
you
guy.
can't- You can't be old and be in these things anymore. See,
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, in the future, they did have him
Yeah.
look like that.
Yeah,
They did?
that is
That-
true.
they did. They did.
Yeah.
You know,
Did he
what-
have the green shirt and the black coat?
He had gray hair, barefoot. He was
Yeah.
in his future
I
vision.
did notice
he
the
was like
barefoot
that.
in the
Okay,
future.
I just thought of this, but hot take: if they were going to do like the Terminator storyline, it should have been him in the Last Stand costume.
Yeah, but then it'd basically be a normal Spider-Man costume. Though, and
That's
that'd be
true.
even worse.
You're right. I just think it would have been a better looking costume.
I mean, it is a better looking costume, but
this
it's
is like an Earth X Spider-Man costume.
Is there
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah.
remember what was it? The Wolverine, like the second Wolverine movie where
Oh,
they
yeah,
teased the
the-
costume at the very end and then it never happened. That was just this entire movie. It was just like it was prompts like, oh, we're gonna get
Yep.
the Spider Women team. It never really happens. Like even at the end of the movie, it hasn't happened. None of them have powers.
It had the same problem Amazing Spider-Man 2 did. It teased you to a better movie that you want to see.
Mhm.
Like the
Yes.
Sinister Six movie. Like, if you come to this one, we're going to show you an even better film. We're going to show you all the Spider-Girls. They'll be on for an whole hour and a half. I'm like, you're not going to get there because this movie sucked. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's some more Photoshop. What do we think of Mary Parker?
It's just a person.
Yeah.
That is
It's Emma Roberts.
that is in fact a white woman. So
Well, they nailed that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of different images online for Mary Parker. Her look is not consistent. in the
That's great.
comics.
We should all just be glad that in these trying times they didn't like gender or race swap her, and have her be like like a dude giving birth to Peter.
what?
So
Yeah, all right.
Emma Roberts is Julia Roberts' sister.
Niece.
Or niece?
Niece. She is Eric Roberts' daughter,
Eric Roberts. Okay, got it.
who is Julia Roberts' brother, Brad.
Got it.
That's
And
how
look-
that works when you're.
Look at cute little Peter down here. Oh.
Yeah, they nailed the casting for him.
The baby
Hey,
looked
look,
like
we
a baby.
We
Yeah.
found this
Yeah.
literal fetus. It's Peter Parker.
Best on-screen Peter yet.
All right, I want to hear about this one. What'd you think, Uncle Ben, Adam
He was
Scott?
good. He was one of the better points of the film.
Yeah, he was definitely like trying with his acting.
I
The only,
agree.
the only actor who didn't treat it as a tax write-off.
Here's my question: can you see Marissa Tomei with him?
Yes.
Sure.
Can?
Yeah.
That's what they're implying. That's Marissa Tomei that he's going to
It
go
is-
with. I thought.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Did they?
They're playing fast and loose with
This-
which universe this is.
Yeah.
I felt like this whole thing was a setup for Tom Holland's. Peter
Me
Parker.
too.
So,
I
yeah.
didn't get-
I
I
think
didn't
there's
get that.
implications for that because of the timeline, but like it because all of Sony's universes are like different ones, so they don't care.
Hornacek. Adam Scott played characters named Ben really well.
Yeah.
Who hasn't had gay thoughts?
What are you quoting?
That's
That's
Parks
from
and
Parks
Rec.
and Rec.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just
That's
spouting
his
off. I
char-
I
his-
don't know if you were quoting it
His
or
character in
something.
Parks and Rec.
Neil just really likes Ben.
I got. I did not know what he was doing. Okay. Do I have any other pictures I pulled up?
I want to read some of Neil's Ben slash fic now.
And I
It's
was
not behind the
trying.
Patreon paywall.
Oh my god. There's a couple things I was trying to think. Where did the writers, or AKA the AI, get the inspiration for this film? And I'm like, where did
Terminator.
these characters appear? And all I could come up with was this: the first issue of the volume 3 of Spider-Woman, where it's got the younger Madam Web, which is here on the right. You got Julia Carpenter here. You got Maddie Franklin here. This is Madam Webb's granddaughter, who's the villain, and then Jessica Drew, who isn't even in the film. But
Okay,
I think
Brad,
this is where the inspiration a little bit came from.
Brad, I think you're thinking harder than the filmmakers did. They said, "How can we get girl power together?" And they looked at like on Wikipedia, said, "Oh, those will work," and then they just put them in a movie together.
Yeah, Brad, you're thinking.
All right, I would try.
Well, I think Brad might be onto something. I mean, it does sort of have a kind of similar feel. I saw people talking about this, like someone was comparing it almost to Birds of Prey at the end, where it's like
Oh,
Oracle in
yeah.
the wheelchair with all these other girls who are becoming superheroes or whatever. And so someone did point to this comic. Like I think Gail Simone actually is like, is there any like reference for the comics of like Madam Web having these younger girls she's helping or whatever? And someone did point to this comic. So
Oh, Mike is correct that I am waiting for that Uncle Ben Jonah romance in Ultimate. You saw them in that steam room in the preview for number 2.
Okay, you guys DM'd me some pictures you guys want to talk about. So what is this? What are we talking about with this?
So this is the costume I think they use as the inspiration for Anya's costume in the
Yeah.
movie, because
I would agree.
the costume in the movie looks nothing like her Spider-Girl costume or her Aranya
No.
outfit. So this is the closest I could think of.
And that's from the cartoon.
Yeah, This is from the 2017.
That was the
cartoon.
aggressively science Spider-Man one.
Guys, I love science.
Yeah.
Is that the adjective of the cartoon? The aggressively sciencey Spider-Man.
It's our adjective.
Yeah.
And then you guys wanted to talk about this.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
what we-
because that shows the front of the costume a little better.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I-
yeah, of Aranya. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not having the spider eyes really irritates me.
Yeah, they really needed the lenses.
No, that's a
Yeah.
Hollywood thing, guys. That's
I know.
that's
I
why
don't
we.
care. That's what I want.
Okay, so Chad, if you got something to ask us real quick, we'll give you a couple thoughts. We'll give you a couple answers. We're going to wrap this up in just a few minutes. Let's see. I haven't been looking at chat in a minute.
Archangel mentions that they didn't put Jessica Drew in there. My assumption is that like they're still trying to figure out whether they want to do the 616 or Ultimate version.
I'm
Like
wondering
it's
if they can't use Jessica Drew because she's in the Avengers.
I think they legally. I think they have to like do a joint production with Marvel broadly to do it. Or...
They used her in Spider-Verse. So
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
They just have to get. They might have to just get permission to use Jessica, not like a joint production then.
Let's see. Mr. Comics, who's excited for Madam Web 2? The future is here.
The search for more money.
Yeah.
Is a sequel coming, Tyler?
Well, I predict this movie doing horribly, horribly bad at the box office. So I do not think a future is in store for this.
So here's the question. Morbius did not do well.
Mhm.
Madam Web, if it doesn't do well, what does Sony do?
Oh,
Because they got
wow.
Craven down the pike.
George, you're muted.
George, you're muted. Nope.
Yeah, still muted.
Well, while he's having problems, I think they're just really praying for Venom 3 to do well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three.
Oh,
And
Hello?
their Spider-Verse movies do well.
Hello, George.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sony is they're not going to stop making movies. They're going to get to a point though where I think they're going to look at sequels and think, this movie did X, let's not give it a sequel. They're going to just keep strip mining Spider-Man lore. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Ben Reilly movie at some point. We'll probably get other crappy stuff,
We're getting a Miles Morales movie, and I think that would do well.
Like I said, we're going to get other crappy stuff. But they're not going to this isn't going to do well enough to get a sequel. And also, I don't see Dakota Johnson coming back for a second one of these.
No.
I don't. I mean, she's still, getting her career off, even though she's been around for a while now. I think she's career savvy enough to know, I don't even make another one.
Yeah.
Of these.
And talking about Sony, milking this franchise for all they can, it's insane to me because there are good movies they could make without the MCU. Spider-Man 2099. Why have they not made a Miguel movie? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. They could just
I think the live action Miles Morales is a
Here's an interesting.
easy bet. I would think that would. Miles Morales is so popular because of the video game, the Spider-Verse movies, and a whole different generation of fans love Miles Morales.
But his kind of backstory, for the most part, is that he's the successor in at least his universe to Peter Parker. Can Sony do that? Can they mention Peter Parker died, Miles takes over?
I mean, in the Spider-Verse movies, they kind of just go oh, here's Peter Parker, you know who he is, and they can just go oh, hey, my name's Miles Morales, I took over for Peter Parker, and then just jump right into it. It's not that hard. Here's a novel idea: animate something. The Spider-Verse movies are insanely popular, and that's because they're incredibly stylized, not just bland diet MCU slop. There's actual effort put in. And you can see that the return on investment they get is phenomenal. So just put some effort in. Do some not do Spider-Verse movies, but
Walter says, does this have a chance of becoming a cult classic?
No.
It's 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. What?
Okay, listen.
For me, in the same kind of classic that The Room is. So.
Yeah.
What's The Room?
Didn't they plan for a Silk one too?
I'll talk.
They're doing a Silk series, I think. Like I said, they're going to keep producing crappy stuff on crappy characters.
They recently just announced that they ejected the entire writer's room and they're focusing for a more male audience, which brings me flashbacks because of the slot stuff.
Yeah. Neil's going to commit Sudoku.
Nathan says, how come they cannot just come up with a price for Disney to buy it?
Because they're dumb. They have no long-term vision.
Because they have very few things that make money for them.
Yeah.
Are they laundering money?
Yes.
They might be. They might
I
be.
mean,
Mrs. Crawlspace, they might be.
You heard it here first,
Are you
folks.
talking about Sony?
We don't have any evidence.
Why
of
would
that.
why would you keep spending money if you don't plan a return?
Doubling
Unless
down.
you need to show receipts.
Because the actual Spider-Man movies and Venom movies make money, so they think they can do that with other Spider-Man things, but they can't.
Okay,
They think what their hope is that people love Spider-Man so much they'll just see anything that is adjacently related to Spider-Man, and it's not true. It's doing.
I mean, but
diminishing
they
returns.
actually have a chain of history to show that it's not true.
Yeah, but about Hollywood is very stupid and slow to learn.
Yeah.
It's going to take them a while. Like it's going to take Disney a while still before they get the clue of why people are getting pissed at them for what they're doing in Star Wars and the MCU. So they're going to keep doubling down on the stuff that's not working for a good while, I guess.
Yeah. Plus, you have writers who fail upwards in this industry.
Oh
so-
yeah. So Tyler offered The Room as a comparison, and I'm not saying that like he's wrong for comparing it to The Room. The difference between The Room and Madam Web is that Madam Web has the backing of like a multi-billion-dollar industry behind them. The Room is kind of lightning in a bottle, so bad it is good because of like the insane amount of variables that come together from one man, that it's like so bad and so funny to watch. Madam Web is not that. Madam Web is like adjacent to slop. In those same, it's adjacent to a Marvel movie that like has no rewatch value. It's not really funny when you kind of repeat the joke over and over again, like The Room. This is more like Sony's not capable of making so bad as good movies because they have too much money behind them.
Also, this already has a Netflix deal. This movie's already going to Netflix after it leaves the theaters, so that's more money for Sony.
Yeah.
Right.
That's another. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, if I'm Disney, am I cool with that? Am I like, wait a minute, whoa, why isn't this coming over here? Why isn't this on Disney Plus, baby?
Why would you want it on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
I mean, this
Well,
movie
that's
is.
interesting because
this-
I mean, one of the things everyone in this chat has said is that they would want to see more of the costumes. They wanted to see more of this. They want. Well, it sounds like you want to see more.
That's expensive though, and they'll cut corners wherever they can while pocketing the money for their executives.
The kind of stuff we would like to see is going to take more effort than Sony's willing to put out.
Right. Okay.
And more money than Sony's willing to spend. I think Sony knew this was going to make a lot of money, but they were hoping it would make big boy money, but it's not. But as to why Disney would want something like this, I mean, this is better. You know, this is going to do better probably than Echo will.
I mean,
as
as far
far
as
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 interest goes.
money, yes, but like, okay, I know that like Marvel MCU bad is the new like trend, but this is not anywhere close to MCU bad. This is like staring into the abyss and it looking back at you.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I mean,
but-
I disliked Quantum Mania more than I disliked.
I
this.
agree. I like Madam Web better than Quantum Mania. Ant-Man
No.
I did.
Psychopaths.
I did.
I thought I
like-
was like tripping when I saw Quantum Mania.
I liked Madam Web. I liked Madam Web better than the Marvels.
Modoc's ass.
No.
No.
I
No.
I hated the Marvels.
I think that's partially though is because the MCU got so built up after, Infinity War, Endgame. We were expecting a certain level of stuff from the MCU. We've never really expected great things from Sony. Like it's
Okay,
always
right.
kind of been mediocre to subpar crap.
Let me put it this way: is that the bar was set with Venom? Tom Hardy hamming it up, the symbiote being kind of fun. That's like meh MCU. Morbius set a new low bar. Madam Web is lower than that.
Yeah.
I know that, like I said, I know that MCU bad, MCU slop is the new fun thing to say on Twitter these days. But
I
we're
mean,
talking about
it's empirically provable.
it's true.
They've
It's not.
suffered quality.
It's not good anymore. But what I'm saying is that the gulf of how bad the MCU is now versus how bad Sony Marvel films are at the base level, it's unquantifiably different.
I think it's a difference between an F and a D. Is what I think they're both pretty bad at the worst points.
Like the Marvels, the Marvels is
Sony's
like a D. Madam Web is an F.
What'd you say one more time?
The Marvels is like a D, but Madam Web is like an F minus, and the gulf between that is like it's like exponentially worse.
Think of what the reaction was to the first Venom movie, Brad, and Tyler's reaction to it was what a lot of people were saying about it, and what word of mouth was saying about it. It's so good, or it's so bad, it becomes good. It's enjoyable. It was bad, but I liked it. Sony's willing to double down on that. Sony's willing to put money, make a bad film that they know is bad, in the hopes that people will be like that. Oh, it was so good, or it was so bad, it was good. I hated it, but I liked it, but I hated it, but I liked it.
I think they're more for a Morbius now because like there was that whole internet phenomenon like, oh, it's Morbin time, get Morbius back in the theaters. We love it so much. They're hoping for lightning that never struck in the first place.
They're hoping for a Madam Web billion.
Sydney Sweeney Million.
We are at the 2-hour mark, and I never thought I'd be talking for 2 hours with my friends about a Madam Web movie, but we did it. We are going to go around the horn for final thoughts. Neil, your final thoughts on Madam Web.
Short and sweet.
For the audio listeners, he did not pass wind. He made a sound effect with his mouth.
And a
Thank
thumb
God we're
down.
not in one of those 4D theaters.
Taste the pain.
Ew.
Josh, final thoughts on Madam Web.
My girlfriend's never seen much of Marvel stuff, so I get to introduce her to this stuff.
Oh,
This
God.
was the first Spider-Man related movie we had seen together.
Oh,
And she said her pro was that Dakota Johnson's jeans were really nice. If that's the only pro that you can get from someone that's like never really seen like any superhero film before, you're doing it wrong.
I like those jeans. Sarah, final thoughts on Madam Web.
Okay, don't judge me, but I think I'm gonna go see it again tomorrow because I think there's some stuff that like I might have missed. And some other talking points that I had, but like didn't write them down while I was in the theater. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm gonna go see it again
So it's
for that
homework.
reason. Well, I just like
Sony
it's-
thanks you.
I just
Tony,
want to try
thanks
to.
you.
No, I'm not paying any more money for it. It's not like I said. Like I go see it for free, but like well, not for free, but
Pass.
yeah, because of the past. But I don't. I feel like there's. I don't understand the why yet, and I don't know if I will, but we'll see.
I like
Sarah-
comments. Sarah's going for hard mode on the video.
Sarah is saving Sony pictures with her one ticket to Madam Web.
Hornacek says this podcast went longer than the movie.
It did.
That's funny. All right, Tyler, looking to the future. What's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is that I brought a friend to this to like sort of we knew it was going to be bad and it was exceeded our expectations and I got so much enjoyment out of watching this for that reason that I even thought I'd come onto this podcast with this napkin blindfold for this stupid bit. And I legitimately thought I was going to only like I would tear this off within the first minute after I made the initial joke, but this movie gave me so much enjoyment that I've worn this throughout this whole podcast, not being able to see, having to look down at my phone through like my nose hole to be able to see any of the chat. So that's my final thought. Where just thank you, Madam Web.
I admire your commitment to the bit, Tyler.
Yeah, man,
Thank
2
you,
hours
thank
for a
you.
bit. I bravo to that, dude. I love it. Christina, final thoughts.
Well, I may be going to see it again. My friend, I went.
Jesus Christ.
Listen to me. Listen. I went by myself to see it on Wednesday because I don't have any friends that are really into Marvel movies, but my one friend wants to go see it because she likes Dakota Johnson, and I said I would see it again if she wanted to do that. Right now, I don't know when I'm seeing it again, but I'm like Sarah. I'm willing to see the why of it and see if there's anything like. Go ahead.
No, finish your sentence. This is me waiting.
Well, anything that maybe we missed or maybe make more sense out of it, which I don't know if that's possible, but we just got to wait and see. But you can go ahead.
And in my defense, I don't know about you, Christina, but like it takes me a minute to like when I'm watching something, it takes me a while to like internalize it and like get it. Like whenever I watch Marvel, any type of Marvel movie or any movie where you really have to pay attention or really want to pay attention, it takes me a couple of tries. So there's that.
Well, so that sometimes happens to me too, where I have to see it more than once to like really pay attention to those things you didn't catch the first time. So I am with you on that. So
Hornacek is asking Tyler if your other senses have gotten stronger during these last 2 hours from not being able to see.
I think I've just gotten dumber.
You have because intelligence is not a sense.
LOL at blind Tyler scrolling on his phone. George, final thoughts.
I'm not going to see this again. Or I take that back. I'm not going to go see this in the theater again. If it comes up on a streaming service that I'm a part of at any given time, sure, I might watch it again if I'm bored. I feel like the one time was enough, but I also I didn't hate it like some people did. I think some people overall, I think some people are just kind of jumping onto the superhero movie suck train a little too hard, and and they're just sort of enjoying it like a blood sport when stuff is not necessarily that bad. And I think when the fandom does that, it diminishes noticing how bad things actually are. So
Yeah.
this was a middling effort. It is not terrible, but it's not great. But it's not nearly as bad as a lot of people that I've seen
Right.
online are making it out to be. I want to say this also, because this has become a popular thing to say: superhero movie fatigue. Superhero fatigue. We don't have superhero fatigue. We have bad movie fatigue. Is
Yeah.
what we have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People are willing to go see a good, well-made superhero movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 proved that.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so don't, when you see that, don't let people get away with that shit.
Right.
Say something. Speak up about that. Say, no, we don't have superhero fatigue. We have bad movie fatigue is what we have. And I've said that for a while here, but I'm going to say it again because it's important. It's important to realize.
There was a comment I just tried to scroll back and I should have pinned it. There was a guy in chat that said, "I'm 52. I'm just happy to have superhero movies." He's
Yes.
been there. There was a long time in the 70s and the 80s when the first Superman movie came out. That was
Yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah, Al Girding said that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people like me and Brad's age,
Yeah.
all we had was like we had Superman, and we
Lou
eventually
Ferrigno.
we had the Hulk on TV. We had Spider-Man cartoons, Hulk cartoons, things like that, but we didn't
Adam
have
West.
this rich, cinematic universe before Marvel came along. And as bad as Marvel has gotten, I'm still grateful that we had as many good Marvel films as we did before Disney decided to just wreck it all to hell. So that's my final thought.
And one thing I don't say very often on this show is Mrs. Crawlspace. What is your final thoughts?
I really enjoyed Dakota Johnson and Adam Scott. I think that they brought something to the movie that wasn't there. Other than that, it's forgettable. You know me. This time next year, you're gonna say, "Oh, we saw that," and I'm gonna "We went to the theater. You did not go to the theater with me to see that. I did not see that movie.
True.
I'm gonna swear I didn't see that movie.
Yeah.
I won't remember it. Definitely, the villain has already left my head. I don't know who he is.
Well, in fairness, he was a shitty, forgettable villain.
Yeah,
He
Mrs.
was.
Crawlspace.
He was.
he is
But-
not gonna get space on the hard drive.
But you're right though. Dakota Johnson and Adam Scott had chemistry.
Yeah.
My final thoughts is thanks for everybody for tuning in. Thank you to my friends and my loved one for being on this show. We will be back soon for another. Hey, we'll do this for Craven and Venom 3. What do you think, George? You game?
Yeah, because
What?
I probably won't have anything else better to do. But I want to say one more thing, Joe.
Yeah, dude.
I want to say one more thing. One of the things that has to stop, I think, is and this has come out more recently. Disney is hiring people who they're purposefully hiring people who haven't seen or don't know the characters, haven't read anything, and then telling them, "Oh, don't read anything about these characters.
Yeah.
Don't learn
That's-
about these characters." And that's the
Right.
stupidest thing there is to do. We need people, we need filmmakers who care about the source material, who
Yeah.
will respect the source
Mhm.
material, and bringing in all these millennials, who can't even be bothered with, "Oh, I'm so over this. Oh, I don't want to work today. I want to be at home with my cat inside my onesie." Who haven't bothered to read about these characters. We need to stop that practice. That's a practice that needs to die. Kevin Feige, do you hear me? Stop it.
Honor the
Just to
source
help.
material, but tell a good new story.
Mhm.
I think that's what we all want. So All right, chat. Thanks for watching, and we will be back next time.